Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the Yerky Boys.
You said that wrong, right?
I did?
Didn't you? Isn't it may the Kandrona shine and strengthen us?
No, you.
It's you?
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, because on the Patreon we say...
Yeah.
Don't we? You say the patrons strengthen us?
Yeah.
But on this show you say you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do I feel like that's wrong? Oh, well.
I don't know. Maybe I haven't been saying you. Listen, when I first started saying it, I wrote it out into a template and I put all my notes in the same template. So I've been looking at the same sentence every time I said it. If I haven't been saying the same thing, then I don't know.
No, you know what? You're right, because that's like what they say to each other. Like, may the force be with you. May the Kandrona shine. I'm tired.
When we made it up for book 2.
I'm not sick anymore.
You're not bringing the energy today.
It's been a long week. I got up too early and I saw a movie. So it's just been a long, I'm just tired. I'm just kind of tired.
That's what our listeners love to hear.
No,
it's going to be a good episode, folks.
Yeah, they're at their 9 to 5. They're driving a forklift or they're delivering Amazon packages or whatever. And what they like to hear about is me complaining that I'm a little bit sleepy because I saw a movie today.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to have a low energy episode, so don't fall asleep on that forklift.
This book was released in the year 2000 in the month of July.
Yeah, this is book 44, The Unexpected, by the way. I don't think we said that yet.
Did you not say it? I thought you said it, maybe.
I was gonna, and then you were sleepy. But yeah, July 2000.
I guess that's why I didn't say the date yet. I thought I just missed it. Told you I'm just a little off. This
is a great start.
It's going to be fine. We're in the hot summer time in real life and in this book.
Yeah, well, it's not that hot today, but it's going to be a hot one.
Well, you're like a tough guy. 82 is not that hot. Doesn't really get hot until it's like 99.
It was like 87 like 3 days ago. This is cool by comparison.
Yeah, I got something for you to cool by comparison.
I got all the windows open. The air conditioning isn't even on.
Now, if listeners of the show know that we have some sharing to do this week.
Yes, sharing, because explain what happened last week. It was exciting.
Well, last week we got an email in the middle of the show, and I announced that occurred, but of course we saved it because the sharing time had ended, and so that's at the beginning of the show, which is now.
Yeah. So this.
In fact, this email, I don't think it was intentional, but it does actually. It is pretty relevant to today's book, so I'm excited to read it.
Wow.
Even though I also don't like it at all.
Well, I haven't read it yet, so let's hear it.
Could you the jingle, please?
Oh, the sharing.
Thanks. We got another one here from Chandler. Woo! He was gone for a long time, but he's making up for lost time. He's making a comeback. He's getting those letters in. And we like this, folks. We like this, folks.
We love the letters.
We don't mind if you write about old books or new books or anything in between. And in fact, Chandler has written in about an old favorite of ours, number 29, The Sickness.
Ooh, okay.
A
I thought you were
Cassie
going to
book.
say 11 again.
No, not again. That one I've said no more. That one's done.
All right, book 29.
But The Sickness, and that's a Cassie book, and we're doing a Cassie book this week.
Mm-hmm.
Chandler writes, "Hey, I really like The Sickness." Now this next part, well, I'll just read it without comment. How about that? Maybe more than the departure, on account of the weird way it presents the other Animorphs morally. Maybe I'll get into that another time. One major thing I like it for is how it made me reevaluate Cassie as part of the team. For the early books, I couldn't help but view Cassie and Tobias as the extra Animorphs. Not because I like them least. If I had to pick two least favorites, it would be Rachel and Axe, due to how one note each can feel when they aren't the main character. Put a pin in that. But every other member of the team seems to have a special talent that helps the teams in terms of completing missions. Sure, Cassie provides access and knowledge about animals the others don't have, but that gets less important as the series goes on. After seeing how she functions here in the sickness, I finally realized that she is, in fact, the team medic. She just doesn't get much of a chance to flex that muscle because everyone has a built-in healing factor. Likewise, I guess Tobias is the scout, and often does function that way, but it doesn't stand out as much since any of them can be a bird or a bug. As for the believability of Cassie doing brain surgery, as a reminder to listeners who maybe don't remember, in this book, Cassie does brain surgery on Axe, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we had an argument about it.
Yeah, it was great.
Chandler says, I'm with Will here. I work
All
in
the
the
cool
medical
people are.
field.
Oh, shit!
Hold on. And I don't consider myself an especially intelligent person. We're going to come back to that sentence too. I went to school and got licensed and everything, but I still spend my free time doing things like rereading Animorphs books and such. I still feel very much like a kid at heart, yet on the job, I find myself placing NG tubes and shit. And most of those tasks are things I learned more by doing than school learning. Basically, my thought is that while brain surgery is very hard, you don't need to be a special kind of person to do it. Could I do brain surgery? No. But I don't like my odds flying a spaceship or fighting a taxon either. To be fair and balanced, though, I do agree with John, the Drode rules. May your Yerk love and cherish you. Chandler, P.S. I joined your Patreon. Keep up the great content. Okay. Thank you, Chandler. We appreciate the patronage, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind as I eviscerate you.
Now, there is one major difference between me and Chandler's position, because as astute listeners will recall, I claimed that I could have done this brain surgery, and I stand by that.
The difference isn't that do you consider yourself an especially intelligent person or no?
Well, of course, yes.
You must if you think
Yeah.
you can do brain surgery.
Yeah, I mean, I've never worked in the medical field in any capacity whatsoever, but how hard could it be, right?
I mean, look, we don't. Again, we shouldn't rehash this argument too much, but I do feel like, even though Chandler says that he's with you, I still feel like ultimately he says I couldn't do it. And to me, that feels like it's still a win for me. Like, if you couldn't do it, but you think a 13-year-old could, then I don't know. What does that say about you? I don't know. I don't know. But
I think that Chandler is not giving themselves enough credit here. I think that they could do it. They just don't trust themselves to do it safely. But in a life or death situation like Cassie was in, I think it would work.
Again,
that's what I think.
Again, we're not going to rehash it. However, this is going to come up in today's book a little bit, so we'll get.
Don't think we will have that big of an argument about it.
Well, no, probably not. Also, I'm just all the passion I ever had that 6 months ago is gone. I could never argue like that again. I'm dead inside now, completely. Now, as for the rest of Chandler's email, I think is pretty interesting. Kind of assigning roles to the Animorphs, with Cassie being the medic, Tobias the scout. I mean, do you agree with those labels, or what do you think about that?
Tobias certainly is a scout. I would agree that Cassie certainly could be a medic if it was necessary, but it rarely ever is. To me, Cassie is more the heart, right? She's heart in Captain Planet. right? She's like the necessary piece that ties them together, even though maybe she doesn't have any of the skills.
Yeah,
Um,
Chandler is looking at this like it's like an MMO, and everyone has a class.
I mean, listen, there's a part of me that is intrigued by that idea. Like, if you are doing, for example, you're always talking about Animorphs board game possibilities, right? Like, you could have Cassie cards that remove the wound counters that you pick
Brains
up. I don't know. You get the idea.
that remove yam foot.
Right. The Cassie card removes the Yamfoot token from
It's
your
like
side of the board.
pandemic.
It flips
It's a
the
reskinned pandemic. Yam foot is
Yeah, you can flip the Yamfoot over to the other side. Like if you,
okay.
yeah, you
We don't
roll
have
the
this. Is
dice
another
if you crit.
episode. This is
Yeah,
another
okay.
episode. Yeah. I mean, yes. I like that the thing about knowing about animals isn't that important, but being a medic also isn't that important. So, I mean, yeah, I think the heart. I think I agree with the heart, and I do gotta object to saying Rachel and Axe are one note. I mean, I don't agree with that. Maybe they both. I think all of the characters can be one note often, but I don't think any of them are more one note than any others. Personally, like I think
Yeah,
they've all had their times to shine, and they've all had their times when they're just kind of a nothing.
Yeah, I can see the argument for Rachel being one note when she's not the point of view character, and even occasionally when she is, she has some bad books. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I find Rachel's big singular note to be one of the more fun and interesting ones. Listen, I like that she's a psychopath. To be fair, I have no idea. If you ask the question, which Animorph is your least favorite, I don't know what I would
Cassie.
answer.
Oh,
No,
me either.
No. Cassie's toward the top for me for sure.
Honestly, I think right now, I might actually agree with Axe. Not that I even don't like him, but if I gotta pick one, it's probably Axe.
Yeah, I am sympathetic to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you pick one, right? So it's not really what we're here to talk about.
No, it's not what we're here to talk about, but interesting stuff nonetheless. But maybe we'll see if Cassie lives up to this terminology this episode.
Write us in at theyerkyboys@gmail.com and we'll spend 15 minutes at the beginning of our episode discussing your email instead of getting on to what we're supposed to be talking about.
That's what we do. But now the sharing is complete, and it's time to move on to the unexpected.
Oh, before we do that, I actually have a little bit of business too, just a little bit.
Oh, well, that's interesting because I expected the unexpected, but what you're doing right now is something I didn't expect.
I just wanted to. I think that I had an experience this week that I think crosses a major milestone for this podcast. I was on Twitter. And an account that I already followed sent me a message and said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the Yerky Boys," right?
Oh my god!
Isn't that cool? And
Yeah,
they're like, "I'm a big
ahead.
fan of the Yerky Boys," and I went to go look at the profiles, and I found that you were already following me. So I'm now getting recognized by not just like any random stranger, but by random strangers I had already been looking at. Now that's cool to me, I think.
This is the other thing the blue collar workers like to hear is us bragging about our fame.
It's awesome. Anyway,
we're big shots now. We're celebs.
Anyway, this is Mary Worth is lit at Wilbur Worthless. If you want to see weird edits of newspaper comic strips, particularly Mary Worth, go check them out and give them a follow and support them for being such a great supporter of the show. I think
most people just heard what you said, and it just sounded like complete nonsense.
Yeah, that's fine. But if it didn't, then go check them out.
Yeah, check them out. We love it. We love that. They also followed our Yerky Boys Twitter account, even though we haven't posted on it in almost a year.
Oh, good. I think they're on Blue Sky, too.
Oh, well, we aren't. Well, we are, but not as a show.
Yeah. I might have posted once there.
Anyway, we love that. If you want to follow us on Blue Sky or write us an email or check out our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. Be like Chandler. Be cool. Give us $5 a month. You get 4 bonus episodes plus full-length song parodies. Christ, what more could you ask for?
That's the other reason to shout out this Twitter account, right? Is because anytime we mention somebody by name, they follow us and we get money.
It does sometimes happen that way, yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's get into the book, baby. What do we got?
All right. So this book was ghostwritten by a Lisa Harkrader.
Isn't that one of the houses of Arrakis? I'm sorry.
That's not bad.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
This is the first time we have seen her. Is this our first ghostwriter? This has got to be, right? There's no way.
Yeah, I would think there's not that, because we know every other is Ellen, and it can't be. Couldn't be more than one more. Is this it? We've seen all the ghostwriters now.
We've seen all of them except for Tanya Alicia Martin for Alternamorphs 1, but that doesn't really count. That's an Alternamorphs.
Yeah, so our collection's nearly complete.
Yeah, we're basically done. Main series Animorphs, we have now seen every ghostwriter. Now, this is not her only book. She will also be doing books 49 and 51, which we won't see until next season. So this lady has written quite a few children's books. She's still active. If you've ever heard of Airball, My Life in Briefs, The Adventures of Bean Boy, The Misadventures of Nobbin Swill, or the How to Be an Earthling series, then you know who this is. I, of course, have heard of all of these. These don't sound like gibberish to me, especially the Nobbin Swill one.
Yeah, so I looked her up also, and when I saw Nobbin Swill, I thought, is she British or something? Like, this just sounds so weird, but no, she's from Kansas. Can I please? I would really like.
Are they like that too?
Are they like Nobbin Swill and the Adventures of Bean Boy?
Sure. What were you gonna say?
I would like to, if it pleased the court, just read the brief description from her website of the book Airball, My Life in Briefs.
Please, because I did not do that, but that has a hell of a title. Yeah,
I think you need to hear it. It might be one of the funniest things I've ever read in my life. Okay?
Okay, let's hear it.
This is the author of today's book also wrote Airball. This is what it is. Kirby Nickel loves basketball. He loves watching basketball. He loves talking about basketball. The only problem is he can't play basketball. But Coach has a plan for Kirby and the supremely untalented 7th grade team. It involves the guys playing nearly naked in their briefs. Maybe the so-called stealth sportswear will really inspire the team. And maybe, just maybe, Kirby will find out who his real father is.
What the fuck? Is it the Coach?
That's a good guess. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the Coach.
What the fuck? Who came up with this? Is this her idea? Is this an original idea?
This is fucking, it's like just.
This is some like Pizzagate shit.
Yes, I mean, very clearly, thinly veiled pedophile shit. Like, what the fuck?
This is like the fucking Illuminati came in and said you must write a book.
This is like, if you ever want to have a good time, go on Hulu and just read the episodes descriptions of the show Seventh Heaven. You don't need to watch them. Just read the titles and descriptions, and it's this kind of bat shit where it's just like Mary's doing drugs, and also she's pregnant by a Nazi, maybe? And you're like, what? How can that be real? What's this show? Anyway. Anyway, this this book, by the way, on the cover of the book, which is illustrated, they are clearly wearing boxers, even though it is called My Life in Briefs.
Maybe the artist did not feel comfortable with the memo.
And also on that one, she's listed, her name is LD Harkrader, which again feels very much like this is a book for boys, so we don't want a woman's name on it, kind of a thing.
It does kind of feel like that. Interesting.
She also has an ad here for a book on her website that I assume she wrote called Nocturne, which looks like just straight up, like the cover just looks like Robert Pattinson. It's clearly a Twilight knockoff.
I mean, it's basically called Twilight.
Yes. So, all right, that's who we're dealing with today. Bean Boy and Airball and Norris Wallace or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Nobbin
Airball.
Wells. Airball.
Is that supposed to be like Air Bud? But like they changed Bud to Ball because they're playing basketball, but he already played. It feels like you changed. So it's.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? What is this?
No, I see
this is insane.
The tagline on it, by the way, is "They got game," and in parentheses, but no shorts.
What the fuck?
Unfortunately, I think that's probably the most exciting thing that we're going to talk about in this podcast.
Ever.
Maybe, well, yeah, I mean, maybe ever. Certainly this week. I'm calling my shot now. Also, this website clearly has not been updated in a while. She still has an AOL email address listed. But it is it's still up.
Maybe
She's
she
paying
still has
for
one.
it. Maybe.
My mom
Kansas.
might still have one. I think she does.
Yeah.
That's how old people are.
Things move slow.
Okay. So I spent a long time avoiding starting this book.
I gotta avoid it for one more minute. I really should just add this because I just saw this just really quick.
Yeah.
She also has some nonfiction books, including 3 books that are animal facts. She has one about a cheetah, grizzly bear, and orangutan. So she is an animal person too.
That's good to know.
She also wrote drug facts, marijuana. That's gotta be good.
I bet it's really good.
Okay, now we can get into the book.
All that anti-drug stuff should just be like, it makes you a weird loser that nobody likes. It's not bad, really.
Well, but all the other weird losers will like you, so.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just, you gotta just pick your, which side you're on.
You're just kind of cringe in a stoner way. Drugs are cringe. That's what it should say.
Seriously, drugs are so mid.
Right.
Not me doing drugs.
Yeah. You see, they could get you writing this. All right. So here's the thing about avoiding talking about this book, right? So last episode, I brought up the idea of Animorphs fatigue and how it was like really dropping my perception of that book. The part of the reason is I wanted to introduce that then because this book, 44, has historically been my least favorite Animorphs book.
Wow.
Now, I don't think it actually deserves that title, but I think that it is low enough and boring enough and not relevant enough that when you add in the Animorphs fatigue, this is the part where as a kid, I read it and I'm just like, fuck off. Like, write a story that matters. I'm done.
And by Animorphs fatigue, just to recap, you mean like late in the series, you're tired of these sort of filler books. You just want to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, like there's so many books that are kind of mid or not that good, and there's so many books that aren't relevant, don't matter, and yeah, I'm ready for something to matter. I'm ready for something to be really cool. I don't want another like diversion book type thing.
Now that was your feeling going into this book, or is that your feeling still, or do you want to reveal if that's still your feeling after?
I mean, listen, I still don't think that this book is particularly good. I don't. It's certainly not the worst book. But you know, I fully understand why. Like in the read-throughs, in the at the time when I was a kid, this is the book that kind of like breaks my patience, so to speak.
I definitely I do not think it's the worst book.
Yeah.
I will just say for now, I understand. I'm
Mhm.
sympathetic to. I think the fatigue. I can see why this
Mhm.
book would contribute to that.
Yeah. The upshot to that is that this is the book that I knew was my least favorite before I started the series. I predicted that book 42 would be your least favorite, the one with the Helmicrons would be your least favorite of this season. So in theory, it's all uphill from here.
Hey, in theory,
In theory.
um, can I? I mean, I think I see. Well, we'll get into it. Let's just start. Let's just start. Well, we got the cover first. The cover.
Yeah, first there's a cover. There's a cover here. So Cassie's turning into a kangaroo on this cover.
She sure is a Cassie Roo, you might say.
Yeah, I might say that.
Now this is a new Cassie, correct? This should
Yes, this is
new
a new
models.
Cassie.
And this Cassie though is much closer to the old Cassie than
Yeah.
the Tobias was. Uh,
Dude, she looks totally different. Are you racist or something?
okay.
No, I do agree. I
This
think
one,
this is, yeah.
I mean, she has much bigger ears and a pouch, but other than that, similar. Uh, yeah, yes, it's much closer. Or it honestly even looks like it's just like an older version, maybe.
Mhm.
Like they did a good job. I mean, a lot of it truly is just the hair. Like
Mhm.
that's like 80% of the battle. and
Yeah,
Tobias they just went the opposite direction.
yeah, I mean, that is clearly why you hate the Tobias model so much, is the hair.
I mean, the face too, and the attitude. Fuck that little punk. Anyway, there's a cat in my lap.
The hair is the most important part, I think.
And also the drip, the fit. She's got the Cassie fit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hell of a. This shirt clearly belongs to an adult. Like, it comes down,
The
like.
plaid shirt, yeah.
Yeah, the plaid shirt that she's wearing, the button down shirt, is comes like halfway down her thighs. The pocket is like the size, it's like all the like halfway down her torso rather than like up above her chest where it should be.
Oh
And
well, is that
like this shirt is way
thematic?
too big.
Does that is that like because in context of the story, it's supposed to be not her shirt? Maybe.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, Cassie's just wearing random like old worn out work clothes from her dad's barn. That makes sense to me, but like, yeah, that this could be not her shirt.
Yeah, not Cassie's shirt. I write on my hand and I press it against the window. That's for Lost fans. That reference, Lost,
I never
2004
saw that.
television show, didn't air yet when this book came out.
I like
Anyway,
that bright orange shirt she's wearing underneath too, the t-shirt. That's
I
the
was
sort
gonna
of thing
say
I would wear.
I feel like I've seen that shirt on other kids on other covers. I feel like they're always
Mm.
wearing some kind of shirt like that. Is it bright orange? It looks almost more yellowish to me, but I guess yeah, you're right. I guess it's kind of orange.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks orange to me. Maybe you're colorblind, like
No, it
red
looks like a
green.
macaroni and cheese. You know, it's like it's got that like orange yellowish sheen to it, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it's more yellow than what the hell is this conversation? It sucks.
No, this is the other thing
My
listeners love. The
they're
debate about what color something is that they can't see.
they fucking their faces right now are this number 4 face here. When she's like just past the midway stage and she's got this expression like she kind of wants to die.
Kangaroos just kind of have that expression, don't they?
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but this one sure does.
Yeah, it's looking also directly at us. That's not always the case, so it's a little unnerving.
Yeah, it's like a
Just
fourth wall break.
straight eye contact with the kangaroo, looking right at you. Its pouch is kind of on full display there. Kind of gross.
Fortunately, the pouch is hidden behind Watch Animorphs on TV for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, honestly, I think they probably did that on purpose because it feels like it should be not safe for kids.
Now on the inner cover, I can see that pouch. Oh yeah, I see it. Damn. Before we get to the inner cover, I guess we should do the quote here.
Yeah.
It says so. It says, "Some say you shouldn't play mind games. Tell that to the Yerks." 4 dots on this one.
I mean, what can you even say at this point? It's just, oh, sure. Fine. I don't,
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do, okay.
That's what they're doing.
Fine. I don't know what to do with you. Just whatever.
Lot
Too
of
long.
We're burning out here.
We
We
can't.
need something to happen.
We just can't. Okay.
Now, on the inside quote.
Yeah.
You liking that picture?
I was laughing at the picture. Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about the picture first?
Well, it's a very boring picture. It's just a kangaroo standing in the outback, and there's nothing really going on. But
Mhm.
it is holding a boomerang, clearly
Yes.
photoshopped in. But
Oh, that's true. It's not, the boomerang's not on the outer cover.
yeah. So it's just kind of funny.
That's
Just
pretty
a
good.
kangaroo holding a boomerang.
Now, on the inner cover here, it says "Hop along, Cassie D," and then 3 dots this time.
Now that's in the book.
Yeah,
They
I find
took
that
that.
interesting because Marco makes that joke in the book. I don't know that they've done that before, and I don't know if we, because I remember when they do the covers and the quotes, they don't necessarily know everything in the book. I wonder, did they know that that was a line in the book and they used it, or did they just you know what I mean,
Coincidence?
independently come up with that? Because what the hell else are you gonna? I need a kangaroo joke.
Okay, well, I guess that maybe gives me an answer to my next question, which was going to be when you were a kid, did you read that and know what the fuck it meant?
I
don't,
have no memory.
because even today, I mean, I had to look it up in the book, like on Google when I read that in the book, because I wasn't sure. I'm not like fully aware of Hop Along Cassidy. That's not a thing that's in my consciousness.
Oh, okay. That name was a thing that was in my consciousness as a child, but I don't really know much about
I
it. I
don't
just
know if
have a vague.
this makes you weird or me weird. I feel like that's such a. I mean, I forget when the I'll look it up right now. Hopalong Cassidy is a fictional character created in 1904. So like,
Mhm.
I don't think, and they had a TV series in the early 50s and
Yeah.
a few movies in the 30s. So it's like, this is not a reference that I feel like most kids will get. I don't think that that's stuck around in popular culture. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, this is like a boomers. Remember, their parents showed it to them when they were children, so they associate it with childhood things, even though it wasn't their childhood. And so maybe they mentioned it once or twice to their kids, and maybe you remember it or maybe you don't.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, it's a fine pun, I suppose, in spite of that.
Sure. It would be very strange if 2 people came up with it simultaneously. They're like trying to
They
figure out what to do with
couldn't
kangaroo,
have.
and the best they got is hop.
It does sort of make this by default the best inside quote because it came from Marco.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
I miss Marco. Do we get a
Gets
Marco book
line
next
or
week?
2 in this book.
Who's next?
Yeah. The 5s are Marco's. It won't be until book 46 that they break the order. So next week will still be Marco
Yeah, all right. I like him.
and Ellen. You'll get Ellen and Marco
Ellen
together.
writing Marco. Oh my god, I'm dreaming about it.
We haven't even
Anyway.
started this book. We're already dreaming about the next one.
I guess we got to do this one first. Okay, all right. Eat your veggies before you can have your dessert.
Yeah. Oh, this here. Okay, I got another one. So the dedication. Been a long time since we've done a dedication. So this one has the standard, family members. This one has the standard for the ghostwriter, but it also says for Ashley and Austin. And I think I've seen that before in these books, but I never looked up what it meant. But there is some Ashley and Austin.
Oh, so it's not. I thought maybe that was Lisa's kids or something, but you've seen it before.
I could be wrong. I don't know that I've seen it before. I may be misremembering.
All right.
I didn't check. I don't care. I wanted to waste time by saying it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We got it. We covered it.
Okay, good. It's covered. It's been covered.
Here's the thing about this book,
Yeah.
which, I mean, by default, we're going to get into it. Now, every week you make an outline of how we're going to cover the sections of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that the first 50% of this book is scene 1.
I considered breaking that up into it is broken up into 2 parts. I considered breaking it up into more just because there was so much, but I had nothing to say. So
Well, anyway,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit. That's just how it's going to be, I think, this week.
That is how it's going to be.
I do have some
All right.
things to say, but it's just we'll get into it.
I might be reliant on you for things to say for most of it.
Sure,
But that's okay.
Sure. Well, we always come up with something.
Came up with fucking 30 minutes of it. All right. So
you can always go back to Airball.
This will be our longest episode, and people realize there's a 2-hour part about Airball at the end.
That's next year's April Fool's joke.
Okay, so we open in an action scene again. We're back to that. No more starting off with "My name is Cassie." So some military guys found a piece of bug fighter wreckage, and they're transporting it, and the Animorphs are scoping out the airport because they know that the Yeerks are going to show up. Cassie is in Seagull Morph, and she's kind of on her own scouting. The others are somewhere, but they're like either too far away for thought speech, or they're humans or something. She doesn't know where they are. She can't talk to them. Some guys in suits show up, and they're like, "We're CIA." They're obviously controllers. They show up to take the bug fighter scraps with them. Cassie does some shenanigans to buy time, and the controllers are like Andalite and open fire on her. And since they started shooting, a firefight breaks out between the controllers and the actual army guys, the Marines. The other Animorphs show up to help, and the fight gets kind of crazy. This is around the point where the "My name is" bit comes in. They are outnumbered, and Jake gives the order to retreat, but Cassie sees a pinned down Marine and stays back to try to save them. She gets shot and has to make a run for it. She makes her way onto a plane. Through some process that I can't quite follow, she ends up in the cargo hold. I don't know. It got very chaotic, but the scene will end. She's like halfway morphed to fly, but she's like unmorphing, and she's been bug sprayed, and she's like passing out, and she passes out in like the cargo hold, the baggage hold of this airplane. Okay. I skipped a lot of chaos.
Yeah, hey, you can't spell chaos without K-A.
Well, that's if it were German, that would be true. Or the monster flavor, energy flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
I gotta, right off the bat, I'm starting to get pissed off about "No, my name is" at the beginning.
Yeah. I had a note that was just like, I'm done with this. Give me the "My name is."
Like,
I don't like it. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's different. I want routine.
If you do it, once, then you're like, oh shit, this must be significant, or it must signify something. There's a change of tone. It's a little more immediate. Oh boy, my head's in a different space now. But when you do it like 5 times, now that's just the thing. Now you just don't want to do the thing anymore. That is what you do. That's like part of these books. Just fucking do it. Just fucking write that at the beginning. What are you doing?
Yeah. It's on. I looked. I counted. It's on page 10, midway through chapter 2, when she does it.
Now, I kind of like the idea of, if I'm imagining this is a TV show or a movie, I like the idea of like a cold open, so to speak, where there's you get some kind of a cool, crazy action scene. You're like, what the hell's going on? And then maybe, there's some kind of a dramatic cut, and then you get "My name is Cassie. This was me 3 weeks ago. How'd I get into this?" or something. Yeah. Something cool like that. I feel like that's what they're trying to go for, but I don't think it quite works in written form for me.
Well, this is a kangaroo book, not a gopher book, but
I was trying to go for. Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway.
No, I think 'Cause this fight scene is like way too much, right? Like way too much, way too soon. It's like it's very chaotic in the way Animorphs can be. It's like 5 chapters of it. We don't even really get the recap of what they're doing here until after it's like all over. We get a
No.
recap of even like that this is Cassie and what an Animorph is like in chapter 2 midway through it. Like I think it's not it wasn't as bad when I went back like a second time to try to like say like lay out okay what actually happened from my notes. But like with no intro launching right into it, it is way too much, way too soon, and it is hard to follow. There's a lot of just like chaos going on that it's like okay, too much.
It is, as I like to
Right.
say, it starts in medias res.
Yes. Our favorite thing to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Cassie is a reliable narrator. And later on, we may or may not get to some juxtaposition.
Oh good. I love juxtaposition.
But I, you know, I agree with what you're saying. At first, I was thinking, again, going back to thinking of this as a movie, this felt like some, which, is what I do because my brain is broken. This felt like to me, like a classic 80s action movie opening. Yeah, even Marco or somebody literally says, "We've got company." It felt like that kind of vibe. And I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. It's a little, like you said, it's a little disorienting because they only hint at what they're actually doing here.
Hmm.
They, in actuality, they actually do, I think, spell it out for you, but it just seems like there should be more, and it turns out there isn't, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm wondering, like, what the hell is going on? Okay, this is crazy. Are they going to explain this? What's the deal? Also, the Animorphs join. It's Cassie alone for a while. Then the Animorphs
Mhm.
swoop in to save her, but they don't really tell you like where were they before? Why weren't they all together? They don't explain that. I don't know what they were
Yeah, it's
doing.
it's not clear. They make some comment about like, oh, Marco's driving or something. So like I assume they were like trying to like steal a small car to like drive into the airport and maybe they were out of range or they were in human morph or something.
It feels very
But
much
Cassie's
like
over here scouting and not Tobias? I don't know. Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea what that's about. She's the medic, not the scout. We just went over this.
That's right. Maybe Jake's getting sick of the relationship, and Cassie, you go off on your own. Why don't you go in there on your own as a seagull, just right in the middle there? Perfect.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, it feels like they're really doing that thing. It feels like an Avengers opening or I
Mhm.
don't know, like the beginning of any movie like with an ensemble action cast where they have to kind of introduce everybody to you in a short span of time and you have to like, oh no, they're about to die, and that's when it's like epic dramatic turn and there's the guy on the car like coming through, buddy, needed a hand and pull you up onto the car or whatever.
Mhm.
It's that kind of thing, which is kind of fun. Like I see what they're going for. However, by the time I got to the point at the end of this scene that as you have demarcated it,
Sure.
um, I was very bored.
Yeah.
And like, the way the action flows, I think isn't terrible. I think it's fine, but you could pluck this scene out and put it in almost any random Animorphs book. There is nothing about this that is unique or distinct or makes you go, "Oh yeah, right, of course, the airport fight scene from book 44. I have read this scene in 50 different forms already. Just has no personality to it."
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sounds like to me like your feelings about this section, maybe even the first half. I don't know if you'll change your tune when we continue this action scene for the rest of the first half of the book. Um, it like that sounds very similar to my feelings on most of book 39, the Buffahuman book, absent maybe like one chapter's worth of Buffahuman stuff and one chapter's worth of Aunt Cassie stuff.
Yeah.
But like I guess for whatever reason that one was more engaging, maybe because there was a Buffy human
Yeah, and
for you.
I was thinking about the Buffy human. I was probably going to bring it up at
Mhm.
some point because yeah, they're both two Cassie books that are both kind of like adventures that extraneous adventures.
Mhm.
And I mean, we'll get further on in this book. I don't think it's like terrible. I don't think it's devoid of
Mhm.
anything good. But I do think the Buffy human goes a long way in that it is something weird. It's a weird sci-fi concept that I can sink my teeth into, even though,
Mhm.
you as you pointed out, maybe the book doesn't go far enough in exploring it. It
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
This book does not have anything like that. It is literally
Yeah.
just the Yerks want Cassie because the same reasons they always want Cassie. That's
Yeah,
that's it.
and to be fair, like going back and remembering the books, my if you had asked me like after any reread, if you had just been like, "What was the Buffy human book like?" I would have been like, "There was a Buffy human in it. I remember that. I
so
don't
you
remember a
so you
single
take
other thing
out
about the book, but
remove the Buffa human, and now what do you remember?
nothing." But with this book, it's just like, "What's that one? Oh yeah, it's the one with the kangaroo, I guess, because it's got a kangaroo on the cover."
They had to do one
Like
of
I
those at
don't
some
care.
point, right? They had to do that.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's nothing in here. And now in terms of this scene's like legibility, like I said, I do think most of it was better when I kind of went through for a reread. But the section where she's like, okay, she goes into a plane, they chase her onto a plane. Somehow she gets into the bathroom, and then somehow she gets into the cargo hold, and she like goes between different morphs. I did reread that a couple times now. I was like, I don't know if my brain's just turning off halfway through or what, but I cannot follow this. Um,
Yeah.
I find that particularly funny because I actually have a quote here from the ghostwriter from Annabase.
Oh.
Annabase says that the author of this book had to do a lot of research in order to get all the details right. And she is quoted as saying, I talked to a retired TWA mechanic to find out how Cassie could get from the cargo hold to the passenger area of a jet. Actually, I guess that's the reverse. It goes that way later.
Mm.
Before that, I'd tried calling Boeing, several different airlines, and the Kansas City airport. They all asked,
I've been
in
there.
very suspicious voices, why I needed such information. Between that and something redacted from a later book she wrote, I won't tell you. But between that and the later book thing, I'm
Oh.
sure I'm on the FBI watch list.
Now, I mean, I'm just gonna. You don't have to confirm or deny, but is there
Uh,
a later book where Jake, Juan, and Terry and Marco have to play basketball in their underwear? Okay, you don't have to answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. We'll find
there
out.
might, you just have to see.
She
Maybe
was
you'll have to write that one.
calling up coaches at elementary schools nationwide. What? You think like one of your boys could play without his pants on? I'm writing a book.
What might that be like?
What would that be like? Um.
Uh,
Okay. Well, and okay. As a reminder, 2000. So we are still a full year ahead of 9/11.
I wonder if they consulted that watch list on 9/11. They're like, do you think it's this? What was her name? Lisa, Linda,
Lisa Harkonnen. Yeah.
Lisa Harkonnen. Yeah, you think it's that Lisa person?
Yeah. Yeah. Between this and the other 9/11 book, they really Animorphs should have been like Doom, for terrorists. They like this was the thing that set them off. Um, I, but anyway, I did think about while I was reading it. I also was sort of confused, but mostly at what was going on with airport security in the year 2000. Because I mean, forget about going through a metal detector. They're I guess they're fighting they're at an airport. What
Yeah,
part of
they're
the
out.
airport are they at? Like at the
They're
tarmac on the
Yeah, presumably they're out on the tarmac, so like they don't have to worry about that. And
but
it does kind of make sense that if there's like a black flight, right? Like they're trying to transfer this secret top secret wreckage to some military black flight, then that area is largely not being observed, and the people who are fighting there are going to be the military guys. I get that.
But
Now,
also, Cassie ends up on a passenger plane,
yes, she
and there's
runs
like
out.
there's gunfire.
Yes,
Like, shouldn't the
yes,
airport be shut down?
yes. And this is the point. Cassie runs out from that. Like, regardless of if anybody in the airport knows anything, somebody should be calling them and saying, something happened with the black flight that's top secret, you're not allowed to talk about. There was gunfire near one of the planes. Maybe everything is shut down. Certainly that plane is shut down. Someone stowed away on this plane, and what, the Yerk guys in suits didn't tell the airport to just shut it down? The Yerks shoot at her on the plane. They specifically talk about putting bullet holes in the bathroom door, and we're going to find out this plane takes off and leaves. Do they just file the passengers in and they like walk past? Oh, that's interesting. What are all those bullet holes doing inside our plane? I'm sure it's fine. Like, it's kind of crazy.
I think I don't know what I clearly was confused. I think in my head I thought that when she's in that bathroom, I don't know if I realized she was on clearly she is on a plane. I just didn't, in my head I thought maybe there's some like a trailer or something she's in. I don't know. Clearly I was drifting in and out here. It makes no
Yeah, I
sense.
mean that part is very like not you can't tell what the hell's happening.
Yeah, so bizarre. A very weird scene that you kind of just have to okay, it's moving though. It never stops moving. It
Yeah.
absolutely never stops and still has not stopped yet at the point we are discussing.
Yes, because Cassie passed out. She's gonna come to. Oh, I actually no. There is one other thing that I think is kind of interesting, in the sense of why hasn't this happened before?
Okay.
In this battle sequence, Axe is morphed into a cheetah because they don't want the Marines to see an alien. Even though earlier the whole plan was to show them an alien so they'd know there were aliens. But,
yeah.
But this time they don't want to do that. Yeah, it feels like this might be a perfect time to have an alien so that the Marines know about aliens. And maybe in other times it would be better for Axe to be a cheetah so that, that they don't wonder why one of them's always an Andalite.
Yeah, this is a rare occurrence.
And it's weird because they don't explain it to you, right? Like, they're talking about him and they're like, Axe attacked him with feline grace. And I'm like, what the fuck? Axe, feline grace? And then Axe is like, this tail is terrible for fighting. And you're like, what?
Don't they must say he's a cheetah, because
They do, but
okay.
like they like those sentences come earlier. Like after that, Jake saw like that. We had to have you morph a cheetah, Axe, or something.
Well, let me remind you that Lisa Harcrater is also the author of a book called The Cheetah.
Ooh.
So maybe she just
right.
likes cheetahs. It's like she just knew some cheetah facts, so she was like, "Oh, I could use that."
It was the cheetah book that had 9/11 in it.
And then there you go once again. Clearly one she liked a lot. And I was a little bit like, oh, it's nice that he's using the cheetah. You know, sometimes they get a morph and you never see it again, so that's kind of fun. But yes, I mean, later on, or in the next section, I think Cassie's there's some other thing where she talks about trying to prove that the Yerks are real, and I'm like, isn't this planned from like 40 books ago and they decided it's not a good idea or something? Like, I'm constantly confused on the back and forth of, are they trying to hide it or reveal it? I don't know what their angle is.
Yeah, no, I don't really know. I really don't know.
No one knows.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not seeing things, and I hope you enjoyed that brief period of seeing the other Animorphs where they were here for that fight sequence, because we're not going to see them for quite some time now.
But hey, what's our favorite book? It's The Departure, where it's basically just Cassie.
That's true. Yeah,
Buffy
Cassie
Humans
actually
too. Yeah,
a number of books where she's kind of on her own.
Yeah, what is that about?
Like, she was a skunk for a lot of 9. She in 29 they're all sick. In 39 she spends half of it running around the woods with the Buffy him. It's the 9s in this one, really.
I guess it's just that she is so opposed kind of to fighting that the authors maybe feel like it's easier to separate her so that she doesn't have to be conflicted about it or something.
Yeah. Well, that was Rachel's book 32, The Separation.
Oh yeah, you're right. Just a few other points from this that I
Oh,
thought were
sure, yeah.
interesting. Um, I don't know if this was explicitly made clear already, but the, the Yerks have infiltrated the CIA. Like that's, I mean, I
It's
guess you
not.
could assume that, but
I was gonna say it's not clear to me if that guy was lying about being CIA, but they did.
hmm. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
They did steal the president's chopper, but I guess Visser 3 morphed that Secret Service guy rather than infesting him. Yeah, I don't know. They may have infiltrated the CIA. Who knows
Yeah.
where they are?
Okay. So maybe reveal, maybe not. I mean, but at this point, they must like. It doesn't seem like a far stretch that they would have done that.
Yeah, that would be a good plan for them to do. And since the
You
Animorphs
think,
are not in Washington, D.C. to stop it, I don't know.
right? You'd think, boy. In fact, since there's only 6 teenagers in the world in one specific city trying to stop them, almost seems like it's very easy for the Yerks to take over with no resistance whatsoever. But what do I know? Anyway,
Well, remember, Visser 1 discovered that Hollywood was the most important city because of all the media going out, so it's too late to change now, shift over to anywhere else.
right. Um, just another thing I have to say to be annoying. When
Please.
Cassie does a bit where she tricks one of the Air Force guys by having this by thought speaking and pretending that it's the CIA guy, being like,
Oh, yeah.
Air Force guys are pussies or something like that.
I think she was like, Marines are pussy,
Oh,
should have sent the
Marines.
Air Force.
That's what it
Or
is.
something.
Yeah. That's right. But of course I had to have to say that was Cassie. She's thought speaking. So is she doing a deep voice like in her mind to try to impersonate this guy? Because otherwise it sounds just like a young girl is saying that.
Well, they were probably like, oh, that weird suit, who's not really military. Of course he sounds like a weird teenage girl.
Also,
He's
does
not a
thought
manly
speak-
man like we are.
If you just hear thought speak and you don't know, do you just assume you're hearing it with your ears? Like, doesn't it kind of sound like it's in your own head? Doesn't it sound different? Whatever. I guess
I
you'd
don't know.
rationalize it that way because you don't know. So you'd be like, I must have heard
Sure.
it. Like I said,
Yeah.
this is just me being annoying.
Yeah, don't question it. There's a million things about thought speak that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay. Can we
This is
move
also
on?
this is the second book in a
No.
row where we've had a animorph and a bird morph getting their ass kicked, like falling, like getting beat, and then like having to deal with it.
Does Tobias even count?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not. I mean,
all right, fine.
sure, why not?
And one other thing,
Yeah.
Cassie feels bad, and she rests her head on the cold sink in the airport bathroom.
That's
That's
really
not-
gross. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, that is not sanitary. That is
Don't do that.
I always hate this. In movies when someone's like puking because they're drunk or whatever in a bar or a restaurant bathroom, and they've just got like their arm is just like resting on the fucking toilet. Like what the like? I don't care how sick I am. I'm not fucking touching that with any part of me. Anyway, we can move on.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you done? Okay.
Can I be honest?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to
Be
bring
honest.
it up, but since you asked.
Yeah, I'm asking.
One time at a wedding, I got really drunk and I did have to go to the bathroom and I threw up.
I remember that you posted about how miserable you were. You were like
And,
live posting yourself throwing up.
This was in my younger days. I was a party animal back then.
Uh-huh.
And I think I did. I think I did kind of like touch I think I just felt so bad that I just didn't give a fuck.
Mhm.
So you know what? I sort of get it, to be honest. I didn't want to
Okay, good.
admit it because in my sober,
Yeah.
rational state, it repulses me, but
Mhm.
sort of get it.
Well, there were some other things you may have posted during that time that might repulse your sober, rational self as well. Things that maybe Jake and Rachel could
I
relate
really
to.
don't know. I really think that whatever you're saying right now isn't making it into the final edit of this show.
Okay, so it was just a memory that I recall.
Listen, we do not have enough time for this. We need to go. We have a lot
All
of
right.
scene 2 to discuss.
Okay. Okay. Well, as you recall, Cassie had passed out in the baggage hold compartment thing under the plane. Maybe half morphed into a fly or something. So she wakes
Very
up.
Cronenbergian, I must say.
Yes, it's the Cassie fly. I don't know her last name. She wakes up, and fortunately, she has like demorphed in her sleep or something because she's, I don't know, an estrine, whatever. But the plane is in flight, and it's like freezing cold because they're way in the upper atmosphere. Um, so she's looking around, and then suddenly the plane freezes, like everything stops, and some green scanning light comes through. Right, the Yerks like froze everything, and I guess the thing like stuns everyone inside. I think they used this in book 21 or something too. But Cassie avoids it by being inside a crate. Lucky for her. A Taxon and a Hork-Bajir come in looking for her, and she morphs into a polar bear and fights them off. So that they get fought off by her, but they're gonna come back. She like steals some food and a cardigan and like hunkers down for them. So more Yerks show up. They freeze everyone again. There's like a chase scene. She ends up in the cabin with all the other frozen passengers. There's a pretty good scene here where she also poses as a frozen passenger, and and she has to like be totally emotionless. And they're like they start checking all the people. They're like, let's blast them with low level Dracon beams to see who flinches. And Cassie has to like acquire one of the Hork-Bajir to stun him. There's some shooting. Cassie shoots back. She kills some Hork-Bajir. She jumps out the emergency exit to escape and morphs Osprey midair. I think she also shoots and kills a Taxon while she's in midair. But yeah, she escapes as an Osprey. She flies down to the ground and she morphs Flea to hide from the Dracon bombardments. And at this point, we are over halfway through the book. Just barely.
That's right. Yeah. So this is the scene where I really started to feel the confusion kick in personally.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you will tell me, I don't know if this is I wasn't paying attention or what.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really not clear to me. I mean, she wakes up in this cargo hold like she was unconscious for a while. And I just didn't realize until we see passengers that this was like a regular passenger plane. I thought, oh, this is some kind of I don't know. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know if this was like a military plane or what. And she's also like, she's like Yerks are. I did not remember this technology from whatever book you said.
I don't quite remember if it's even the same, but they like froze a helicopter and stunned everyone in it. So that was when they acquired the Secret Service guy.
Right. That the David books, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I do sort of remember that, but I don't feel like they re-explain it very well in this. No. And so I didn't realize the plane was frozen when, Hork-Bajirs just start like boarding the plane. And I'm like, hold on, is somebody like, who's flying this plane? Are there other people on it? What is the situation here? And they do not lay it out for you at all until she gets in there. And I'm like, oh, wait, there's just literally like a ton of normal ass fucking civilians on this plane. And they're like shooting it up with Dracon beams. It was, and I was like, and then that's when they're like, oh, they're all paralyzed. And I'm like, they are? Like, they didn't. It was very abrupt, and I was lost.
Yeah, reasonable. Like for all I know, this is just because they used I say they used something like this in that earlier book, but I don't remember if it was actually described anything like this. It is fully possible that the author just made it up for this scene to work and didn't realize they'd already done it.
But
Maybe there
they
are enough
they
details, but it's
treat
not
it like
clear.
something that happens every book. Like the way they
Yeah,
talk about it is so they barely explain it. They're just like, you know how the green light scans, and I'm like, what? What is that? I don't know what that
yeah,
is.
and I will say when I'm reading it, I when I said Cassie escaped it by being in a crate, I didn't know that the first time. Like when I was reading this, I was like, okay, so the scan comes through or something. I guess nobody notices there's Hork-Bajir running around. Oh, they're all frozen. Okay, I guess they all got frozen by the thing. Sure, that makes sense. Cassie didn't, though, for no good reason. And I was like, well, before I say there's no good reason, let me like double check. And it was like, oh no, there is like a part where she's like, oh, my leg is numb because the rest of me was in the crate. Like it is so easy to just miss that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just completely, and it is not unreasonable to assume this must be a military jet. Like she is in the cargo hold, and she is seeing stuff getting transported, and she is like opening people's luggage. So you could assume that it's a civilian
Well,
plane,
she
but you could
opens
also
like
be like, yeah,
yeah, well, one of the things she opens is like a crate of oranges or something. So I'm
hmm
like, I don't who's bringing spoiler alert, they're headed to Australia.
hmm
But like, aren't you not allowed to bring fruit out of the country?
Well, you have to declare it at customs, so this is some kind of corporate. I don't know what the fuck this is. Yeah, no, it's all mixed. What kind of luggage is in here anyway? And given that, like, they don't. When they take off from the airport, they're just like, we're at an airport. There's some kind of like
Yeah,
stealth
yeah, yeah,
black
yeah.
flight taking off.
Right,
There's no indication that this is a civilian airport that got a section
right.
cleared for a black flight as opposed to some private military
Which
airport.
is 100% that's what I was picturing, not a regular airport.
Yeah, which is very reasonable.
It's the whole thing is bizarre.
hmm
Um, this scene did remind me of Uncharted 3. Remember that one?
Sure. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know.
Well, there's a big scene where you're on a big. Actually, I think is it a blimp? Maybe it's a blimp. I don't remember. It's on the cover of the game, but there's a fun part where you're like, all this luggage is falling and you're shooting people and falling out the plane. What a fun
hmm
series. And he falls in the desert. It's not Australia. It's not the outback, but it is the desert.
Yeah, yeah. We don't know where she is just yet. She's being bombarded, but
Well,
they are out. She's out in the outback.
well, they did. You
She
didn't
turns into a
mention.
kangaroo. You know, it's the outback.
Right. You didn't mention, but she does see tags for SYD,
Yes.
which she thinks maybe that's South Dakota.
Maybe that's South Yemen desert.
Once again, confirming that the Animorphs do not live in South Dakota. So it's another
True.
state we can cross off.
Yes.
Now, I don't know, because here's what I'll say. At the end of this book, they play this like a reveal that she finds out that SYD meant Sydney.
hmm
I think, in contrast to what I said about Hopalong Cassidy, I think even the dumbest 10-year-old would read this book and go, oh, it's Sydney. Like, don't you just kind of get that pretty, if not now, certainly in the next scene?
Yeah, and the next chapter where they're like, "Oh, it's Australia."
Right.
If you didn't get it from the fact that she is a kangaroo on the front cover, and then on the back cover, it says she's managed to find herself in Australia on the summary for the book. So if you didn't figure out from that,
A bit
now
strange.
maybe you've never heard of Sydney because you just don't know geography at all. In which case, the reveal means nothing to you anyway.
Yeah. But when I feel like kids that age like animals and would like learn about kangaroos in Australia and they know about Sydney just like through that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I feel
Here's
like
what
I knew where Sydney was, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you know one place in Australia ever, it's Sydney.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I
Everyone from fucking Melbourne's getting fucking pissed at you.
Melbourne?
Melbourne, yeah.
Well, listen, we do have some listeners from the outback, so we'll get to them in a minute.
Okay.
I do think there are some positive things about this scene.
Mm-hmm.
What are they, though?
The only thing I really like here is I do quite like the scene where Cassie is holding perfectly still and they're going person to person checking. I think that's
Yeah.
a fun scene. I think that that's a cool little like visual thing to imagine. That's about it though.
Yeah, that's got some good tension to it. Um, I mean, Cassie kind of goes on a rampage, and she she kind of kills a lot of people in this scene.
Yes, yeah, she kills at least 3 Hork-Bajir and a Taxon, maybe two Taxons.
Well, a couple of them she kicks out of the plane, or she pushes a
Y-
crate that kicks them out of the plane. Something.
Yeah, yeah.
Then she disintegrates one with a Dracon beam. Just
Yes.
point blank, boom, gone.
Yes.
And then she shoots at the Taxon that is piloting a ship in the air, a bug fighter, I guess, or is it a helicopter?
Mhm.
Bug
I think
fighter.
it's a bug fighter.
It's funny to picture a Taxon flying a helicopter, and yeah, and that one explodes and blows up. So she does a lot of murdering here, which you'd
Yeah.
think, which is not part of this story thematically, but it
Mhm.
doesn't really get focused on the way you might think based on how many bodies she's dropping.
Yeah, like there are multiple points where she like references it or like muses on it and it's all like, what have I done? There is a kind of thematic callback, like a resolution thing in a later scene, but it's not. Yeah, I don't feel it. Like as I'm reading it, I'm just like, sure, I guess they blew up. Oh, I guess she's supposed to feel bad. Am I supposed to feel bad? I guess. Why not?
I
You know,
only feel it in the sense of like, I can't believe that they're doing this. This is nuts. She's just killing so many things.
I don't
Point
know. I
blank.
can believe it. That's
Like,
just
but
how Animorphs is.
no, but it's not. We just said last book, remember, like, I don't know, maybe it was one before, I don't remember, but whatever Rachel book where she's an elephant, where it's like, oh, I picked one up and threw it, and like, maybe they're okay, right? Like, or Cassie
I
did
guess
the
that's
whole
true.
thing, and all the guys on the ground, and it's like, oh, they're unconscious. This is like straight up. There is no ambiguity. They're dead.
Yeah. I mean, what I didn't like about that thing last book was partly that it was so like in incongruent whatever with the rest of the series, right? Like they
Hmm.
so often do just have them kill people that I'm just like I don't that this doesn't fate like I don't feel like there's an ethical question here relative to what you're normally positing to me. And I guess here they are doing that. I don't know. I just don't feel it. But yeah,
That's
I hear what you're
fair. That's
saying.
fair. I feel like it's, well, one, it's Cassie, so there's that factor to it.
Sure.
And I do think a lot of the times it's like they aren't as explicit. Like, I mean, it's very easy to just go, well, yeah, obviously that guy's dead.
Mhm.
I don't know. It just felt like maybe, and again, because it's just her. Usually it's just like, oh my God, it's chaos and who knows what's happening. And I'm biting this guy and he's kicking that guy. But this was just like a murdered. It was like she was playing 007 or something. Like she's just fucking
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang. um,
I mean,
um,
on that note, like, at what point reading this were you just like, is this the whole book? Do we see the other Animorphs ever again? Is it just Cassie? Spoilers, it is. But
yeah,
like, did you like have a dawning realization?
it wasn't so much, I wasn't like so concerned that the other Animorphs were going to come back. I was kind of prepared for her to end up at, I mean, as soon as she's on the plane, you've seen the cover of the book, you realize
Hmm.
she's going to Australia. She saw SYD.
Hmm.
You figured this out
Hmm.
if you hadn't just read the back. But I certainly was at this point astonished that this is basically one extended action scene. This feels like the opening of a book that's usually 2 chapters, and it is literally half the book.
Yeah.
Like, to me, this everything from the plane up till now. And what's weird is this is actually feels like the kind of thing I would like. I keep going back to movies. And I think it's because this feels like a tight 90-minute thriller. Like this feels like a Jason Statham or Liam Neeson, or like, guy gets stuck on a plane, a John Wick on a plane, speed, tight. We're just focused on this one person, and it's just action, 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 and the plot is kind of just through the storytelling and the action, or I mean, through the action beats. And it's like a simple, focused story, and it's just great action, and you're engaged start to finish, and it doesn't need to be anything really deep or complex because you're enjoying that aspect of it. And so from that perspective, I feel like I should be enjoying this more, because I think if you told me that this happens on paper, Cassie alone on a rampage, having to survive on a plane and in the outback, that sounds very exciting to me. But I think it's because there's just nothing deeper than that. And I maybe it goes back to the fatigue again, as you said, that it just feels
Mhm.
like I don't like I like part of me still thinks if this were a visual medium and you got a really good director to make this as a movie or an episode of the Animorphs show, it might be one of the coolest episodes of the whole show.
Hmm.
If you were just got to watch just really well directed action of Cassie again, like shooting shit up and kicking ass on a plane and then falling in the desert. Like there's some really cool visual ideas here, I think. Does this at all resonate with you, or am I wrong and it would be just as boring? Like, why do I think this would be better if I could watch it than reading it?
Uh, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily wrong what you're saying. I do think that it's not so much that, because like you said, if you had this really cool, well directed action, and it's not like there's no analog to that in the books or in a book. Like you could, like there, when you are imagining this as a movie, you're imagining that it's really well done and well directed. If it was like really crappy and badly done, it would suck just as much, because it's like there's nothing to grab onto but the action, and the action isn't very good. And so here, like you could make a similar argument. Maybe if the action was better written here, you would like this more. There's
Yeah.
something missing there.
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
haven't I've just seen more action movies than I've read action novels, so that's just what I'm leaping to.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, it's definitely something like that. But it's also the fact that there is no breaking point. I
Hmm.
don't that's
Yeah.
that's a not the right term, but there's no break. There's
Yeah.
no moment. I mean, I guess they kind of have what briefly when she wakes up for a second, but there's not any respite from just the constant momentum, and it is tedious to me after a while.
Yeah. I think that is all reasonable. I would agree with all of that. Yeah,
What
I don't know. I don't have that much more other than like random little bit. I mean, yeah, what else do you have? What is there to say about it? It
uh,
doesn't really work or resonate. It's just more stuff.
yeah, that's broad strokes. We can talk more nitty gritty then. I think I have
Well,
some things.
I don't have a lot of things.
Cassie says that the polar bear is her most dangerous morph. I did think that she was maybe going to morph into a humpback whale at first.
I mean, to be fair, that might be her most dangerous morph aboard an airplane. Like, send the thing into a fucking.
Yeah, there's some options there for sure. Um, I'm really still wondering, what are these passengers on this plane going to think when they're unfrozen? And also,
Yeah.
how is it possible none of them got killed during this time?
Yeah, like we're gonna find out later that like they all get unfrozen and they're like annoyed about, I guess, their baggage missing because the baggage hold got opened up in the fight. And this, I mean, this is the same complaint that we had about like why is this plane taking off from the airport when there was a shootout inside of it? Because it's like, okay, they're zapping people with low level Dracons, which won't kill them, but it'll make them flinch with pain. But Cassie's describing like the smell of charred flesh and stuff. So are people just coming to with horrific burns? There's a part where, like, in the shootout, some seat gets blown up. Presumably, someone's sitting in it, right? Or if not, somebody like comes to and is like, "Why is that seat next to me all like gone?"
Yeah.
Right? Like, I guess the Yerks covered all that stuff up. That's all been covered up. It's fine. Maybe they infested everyone on the plane. I don't fucking know.
I
But it
mean,
is, yeah, it's kind of just taken for granted that it's all fine because they were frozen. Don't worry about it.
yeah, that solves everything. They'll
Mhm.
just experience lost time. They'll think they were abducted by aliens.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we're still mostly we're pre-cell phone. We're certainly pre-smartphone. So maybe no one's paying attention to the time. Maybe they're just looking out the window. They don't realize.
Mhm.
Does the fuel stay in the airplane while it's in midair? If they stay up there too long, will it just start to crash because they're out of fuel?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still burning fuel or what. I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It works. It's a perfectly fine conceit if you need it to tell a more interesting story, but like the moment that you're just kind of looking at the details, you start being like, "Oh, yeah, this doesn't work. If only I had something more to grab onto so I didn't have to look at the details."
Right, right. I did like that Cassie references Tobias's quiet suffering after being tortured. I don't know if I liked it, but that's
Mhm.
now officially canon. I was like, oh, Cassie's good at reading people, so she saw it all along.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
just that the other Animorphs are not attentive like
I,
that.
I think they said in book 43 that they don't mention it around him because they don't want to upset him.
Oh, right, right, right. That too. That too. And how about we
Yeah.
didn't mention this the new sort of mini boss that gets introduced here that looks like a gym teacher.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, the gym teacher lady controller, who I don't think
Yeah.
has a name and I don't think shows up again, but she's here.
Yeah, oh yeah, is this her last appearance? I did wonder when she shows up, are we supposed to know who she is? But no. I don't,
Hmm.
it's
I
just
wonder
a
if this is a Margie Malone type. That's my thought.
Oh my god.
If
Don't
anyone gets that reference
don't.
in 5 years, then like you get a cookie.
Oh man. Anyway, all
Anyway,
right.
I like the Hork-Bajir searching the plane. I like the scene where she hears the toilet bowl slam shut and the Hork-Bajir goes, "And a light not here." That's a pretty good one.
I mean, let me be clear.
Uh,
There's it's confusing, and in terms of the reality of the universe, there's a lot of issues. But it's not incomprehensible. It's not completely boring or unfun. There are moments in there. Like I said, if nothing else, it has momentum in spades.
mhm.
So
Unlike
like
this
it,
podcast.
unlike this podcast, it does keep moving. So like at this point, reading the book, I wasn't mad. I wasn't like insulted. I was just kind of like, what are we doing? Is this what this
Mhm.
is? And why don't I like it more? It's just
Mhm.
feeling a little bit mid,
Mhm.
as the Zoomers
How
would
do you
say.
feel when Cassie's running away and the Hork-Bajir says, "Andalite, hout"? Do you think do you think that is a Gallard or Hork-Bajir word, or do you think that the Hork-Bajir was trying to say halt but couldn't pronounce it properly because they have bad Hork-Bajir mouths?
I did assume that it was a Gallard word.
Andalite, hout, hout.
That's
I don't
cute.
know.
I like the way you said that.
Thank you.
You know what they need? Oh, I guess Toby is this already. I was gonna say they need a baby, like a baby Yoda. They should have a baby Hork-Bajir. That's
What
Toby.
about Beck? Remember Beck?
That's
He was a baby.
that's
Beck.
Dax kid. Who's Beck?
Uh, Beck was some random Hork-Bajir that went missing in book 23. He got kidnapped. Or no, he went miss. Yeah, he went missing and the Yerks found him because he wandered out of the
Oh,
valley.
right,
And I
right.
was upset because they never explicitly say that they got him back.
I probably made a baby Yoda reference in that episode.
I'm sure you did.
I mean, to be fair, I do that all the time, unprompted. I think we can cover the rest of this book in
Yeah.
like 20 minutes, right?
Oh boy. Oh geez. Oh no. Okay. Well, all right. So Cassie's in the desert. Once the Yerks stop bombarding the area, which fortunately they don't go for longer than 2 hours for no good reason. I don't know why they don't do that, but she demorphs from Flea, and she demorphs right in front of a boy who is about her age and his dog. The boy is his name is Yami. He is an Aboriginal Australian, and the dog's name is T'Jala, I believe. Is that how you'd say it?
I mean, I just thought you would have looked it up.
No, why would I do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look it up either.
Well, it's the dog's gonna. We're gonna say T'Jala.
Isn't T'Jala
And
the Black Panther? All right, go ahead.
yeah, don't you don't. We don't need to bring that kind of racial humor.
That's not.
Now, okay, so Yami is not particularly surprised by Cassie changing into stuff because they are near a like sacred spring where like his ancestor spirits supposedly like live or whatever. Um, so he leads her there, and the two of them they see a bunch of kangaroos. There's a part where T'Jala, the dog, runs at the roos. They call them roos, and Yami gets scared because we find out that the boomers, the big male kangaroos, sometimes like lead dingoes out into the spring and drown them, which is minor spoiler. This is kind of a Chekhov's roo going on here. There's a part where Cassie rescues a Roo mommy who got stuck in a fence and acquires her to calm her down. I guess that's a kanga. So we're in Australia. We found out. We meet this boy Yami, and we hang around with some kangaroos.
Now you know what this means. Now that we're in this part of the book,
yeah,
it means Cassie's in a land down under. She took a plane. What a blunder.
You didn't
tossed around, might have to chunder. The Yerks have come. She better take cover.
I expected a full-length version of this.
Yeah, I didn't.
Not this. What is this?
Listen,
low effort bullshit.
I did 2 songs last week. I am tired. I did not have the time and energy to do this. And also that songs are repetitive. It's boring. That's it. That's the whole song. It's just about being in Australia already. What am I going to parody? That's all it is. Look, did I look at the lyrics to Waltzing Matilda? Yes. But ultimately I decided not to do it. So that's what you get.
That Kookaburra song.
Sure. I truly had no idea that AC/DC was Australian.
But I didn't know that either, actually.
Because I was looking up
makes sense.
Big Australian songs, and they love AC/DC and stuff. So
sure.
Anyway, this book.
So here's something that maybe is interesting, or maybe it sucks, is that now there's been 2 moments in this book where Cassie has acquired something just to like calm it down rather than with the intent to use the morph. That's a lot of times to do that. Is that interesting?
No.
I actually have that written under this note bullet point. It says, "Is this interesting, IDK?"
Yeah, I will clear that up for you. You can write no next to it.
Okay. No.
Okay, great. Good
Thank
job.
you.
But I'm glad you asked. It's good that you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Considering whether or not it was interesting. Write that too.
So how do you feel about Australia? Them being in Australia. This is they were in the Arctic before. They were in the jungle before. Both those times they met like indigenous people. So we got a little bit of that now. I guess we'll see a little more later, but so it's sort of like those books.
Yeah, we're crossing off another biome, right? Have we done them all yet?
Sure.
I mean, have we done desert before, actually?
I don't think we have done desert.
Huh. It's a little bit of there's different kinds of deserts, but you know. Yeah, they haven't been to Africa, have they?
No, they have not.
That feels like one they got to do. There's so many animals there.
You're right. This sucks. What what are we talking about?
I mean, this does really feel like the scholastic. What can we do? What can we do with Animorphs that they haven't done yet? The Simpsons went to Australia. We should too.
Hmm.
Let's like they turn into animals. What have we pretty much covered North America? Yeah, pretty much. All right. Well, what about a kangaroo? Oh, send them to Australia. They're done. There's a book. Done.
Maybe I should have made the back half of this book one section too. I was just like, all right, she's in Australia. That's got to be worth talking about, right? There's probably things to say. No, I mean, I don't know. I guess she kind of has a bit of a crush on this Yami guy.
She does. She
Mhm.
does. She clearly kind of likes him.
Not but like, you know.
Yeah. And immediately, by the way, as soon as she sees him, I was like, oh, she's going to have a little fling. I could tell right away. The sparks
Mhm.
were flying.
Mhm.
And then she
This
goes,
should
oh,
have been an August book because of Taylor Swift in the August song.
okay.
You
I
can
thought it was
keep going.
something about how sparks were flying because of Sparks Fly. But I don't know what the August connection was.
Because of the summer fling.
Sure.
The August slipped away. All right, whatever. Fuck it. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Keep. What were you saying?
Isn't that in Betty? Doesn't she say that? Or just,
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
part
a
of the
summer
trilogy.
thing? Oh, okay, sure. But they didn't all. That's not the same song as August.
No. August slipped away. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
But
Who
it
cares?
was just a
You
summer
sure?
thing.
Yeah. Okay, but it's part of the same story.
Okay, yeah, it's just a little bit of a stretch.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a leap. It's a little bit of a leap. It's a little bit of a hop.
Hop, you might say.
Anyway, but I had a few questions, and then she's like, "Oh, this guy kind of reminds me of Jake." I mean, no, he doesn't. I love you, Jake. Oh boy, it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all
Yeah,
for it. Cassie, have a little fun. Go for it.
I wonder if I would like this book better if I were a teenage girl and I was like, Team Yami versus Team Jake, you know?
Yeah. That I feel like that could be part of the appeal here for the audience at the time.
Could be.
I did find it strange. What are you gonna say?
No, yeah.
Okay.
What did you find strange?
Well, first of all, you mentioned it. They do not actually use the term Aboriginal ever in this book.
Mm-hmm.
So they are never, it clearly is, but if you didn't know that term and you were a kid, you would just be like, I don't know, it's just some guy. Like you don't really get it. You just think this is what Australians are like, I guess.
Yeah.
They also, one thing she does not mention is this guy having an accent at all, any kind of accent.
Mm-hmm.
Which feels like he must, and feels like, again, that should be a clue to her of like where I am or something. I don't know. Just weird that she doesn't specify that when she's like describing his voice and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like going back to the other depictions of like indigenous people in book 11, the first time we see it, as I recall, they were very, it's very like tropey. You know what I mean? Like what is it? It's like me polo or whatever, and Marco makes a shirt joke or something like that. The second time we get it with Derek, like the whole thing is like, oh, Derek's just some dude. He watches TV and he's, whatever, and he's just a normal guy. And I feel like they're kind of like there's maybe some intent to be like, listen, I just want Yami to be a normal guy. Like I don't want him to like be quote unquote exotic because I don't want it to be problematic.
Which that's fine. I don't want him to be written with an accent, but it just feels like a thing if as this character you would notice.
Yeah, like Cassie should be like he had kind of an accent, and I was like, what the hell? Where am I?
Yeah, right. And like at first, I wasn't necessarily sure if he was Aboriginal or what. So I thought, like, should he have just an Australian accent? Like I don't know, something. But they didn't. So I just thought that was sort of strange. There's some details like that, a lot that we've already covered that just feel like, why did you not elaborate on this thing and you did on this other thing that doesn't matter? I don't know. It feels a little problematic. It's not terrible. I don't think this book is really problematic, but there is this. I don't know how people feel about this. I really can't speak on the matter as a white man, but I know a lot of listeners hear my voice and they'd think I'm a black person, but I am white.
Hmm.
We get a lot of letters to that effect. But the whole thing of like the, you know, indigenous peoples who aren't phased by her morphing because they're like, oh, well, you know, the spirits of
Hmm.
old did that too, so you must be one of them, feels kind of infantilizing to me.
Hmm.
Maybe Aboriginal people would just be like, no, that's, yeah, sure, my uncle would totally do that or whatever. That's fun, but it feels a little weird. I don't know.
Yeah, like I could definitely see maybe a better reaction would be like, "What the fuck? That's like those weird like religious fairy tale stories my grandpa's always telling me. I just figured he was like spinning bullshit. But then
My
you're fucking right here. What the fuck? Like I feel like if like a Christian, like let's take a nice suburban white safe idea, right? Well, if like a Christian were walking around and like an angel descended upon them, they wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, that's an angel. I know about them from the Bible." Right? They'd be like, "What the fuck? Holy shit." So, I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
My only point to this to myself is there's a great TV show called Reservation Dogs, which is about indigenous peoples in America.
Mhm.
I'm trying.
Injuns.
Yeah, you can hear. Okay. I'm trying to be very careful. I can never know. I mean, they call themselves Indians. Depends who you ask. Whatever. Um, I said I like this show. You know, I'm an ally. Um, and that show has a lot of. It takes place in modern day, but it has a lot of kind of magical mysticism stuff. And there's some of like, especially like the older people in their town, in their community, seem to believe in that stuff. And the show was created by indigenous peoples, and it's played in a way that's very tasteful and fun. And so I'm like, maybe I could see an angle where that works, but just on the face of it, it's just like a slightly off-putting. It just makes me go, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, on that note, one of the things, because everything I know very little about like Aboriginal culture and like how there's like that it's like dream walking or all the but it's the little bits that I know about it make it sound like very fascinating, honestly. Like one of the more interesting things that like kind of out there belief systems like Zen or something, like just this like very crazy ideas of like simultaneity and but I know very little about it, and I was kind of wondering when I read this. I was like, "Ooh, I wonder if one of the things the author like really read a lot about was that. I wonder if there's some stuff like that in here that's like going to be kind of interesting that I never gave a chance to before because I thought the book was boring." But no, it's just kind of like, yeah, the spring is it's spiritual. The ancestors are there, and that's it. And I have a feeling that was kind of because Ms. Harkonnen was like, I don't know that I should be writing about that based off of summaries I read on Wikipedia. Right.
Yeah,
Which
this
is
was
fair. That's
KA's
reasonable.
outline, and she was like, oh boy, how am I navigating this one?
Yeah, it's reasonable. Too bad if they had gotten somebody like from the culture, maybe something really interesting could have been done with that. And I would have been like, this is neat. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they really don't delve into it much at all.
Yeah, which is a shame because I feel like in one of the later scenes you kind of really needed them too. But
Mm.
but
The
we'll get to it. But
the other thing that's weird about this scene is that Cassie does not seem concerned whatsoever that a guy has seen her morphing. She's just
yeah.
like, oh, he seems fine with it. You don't know if this guy's a yerk. You don't know if he's going to go talk to a yerk. You don't know anything. You are in the
Hmm.
middle of nowhere. You should be freaking out. And she's like, I'll go with this guy. He seems cool. I mean, I know Cassie's real trusting and everything, but like, she doesn't even consider that maybe it's a bad idea, that maybe this guy, maybe he's not phased by
Yeah.
morphing because he's a yerk. Maybe he's seen it before and he knows what you are. I don't know. There's a million things.
And she's too concerned with how tattered her leotard is, and if she's too risque for him.
Yeah, I didn't like those sections, by the way.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Maybe
Listen,
uncomfortable.
listen. This guy's he's really dreamy, and she doesn't want to come off like a slut.
That is what it is. I was also wondering, like, are we going to explore that whether or not have yerks made it to Australia? do they have a presence here? Do they care about this? Or are they just like, nah, we don't need that part?
I mean, it would be fucking crazy if they had a presence in the outback where like nothing happens and nobody lives, and it's a million miles in between
I guess
anything.
that's
Like
true.
even if the Yerks are in fucking Sydney, they ain't they ain't
But
here.
but at this point in the book, I didn't know that we were going to be staying here for the
That's
rest of the book.
that is reasonable. Yeah, like this is but like this is like one of the places you would expect in like the dystopian future in book 41 be like, yeah, the last holdouts of humanity, the places like the outback where just nothing is happening and they don't it hasn't been worth it to move in there yet or something. That's what I would expect.
You know, it would be pretty funny. Imagine this if Cassie gets there and she's talking to this guy, and then Furiosa shows up.
Oh shit. Yeah, I'd be into that.
Yeah, and Furiosa's like, you know, she says one of her classic lines.
Yeah.
And then,
Like
you
the
know,
mommy knockers.
yeah. And,
Or
and then
whatever.
and then it turns out Immortan Joe is a controller.
Whoa. Scary.
Yeah, he's Visser 3.
Wow.
I'm gonna write this fanfic.
And what Nux is what Aftran?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Good job. Good work.
I did it. All right. So, okay.
This kid's Mad Max.
Yeah. So after they do all the business with the kangaroos,
The Boomas.
Yami he leads Cassie back to his family's outstation is what they call it. I don't know exactly what that means, but I guess it's his town, village, something. They do things differently in Australia. But she spends the night there, and in the morning she like meets his family and his grandfather. And Yami's grandfather thinks she's like a sign from the ancestors or something. He's like, "Oh, I was afraid my people will forget my old teachings, but like you can change, and you were in the spirit spring." So he likes her. There's like a scene here where Yami offers her some witchetty grubs, which I looked up. It's apparently a real thing.
I also looked them up, unfortunately.
But yeah, she declines because she doesn't want to eat bugs, and he's sad. She has a conversation because she wants to phone out, but they don't have a phone, and the bug fighter killed their radio, and the mailman won't come for a week, and it's 60 miles to the nearest anything. So eventually, the plan at this point is that she's going to have to go kangaroo at some point and travel by night, I guess. But anyway, they got more stuff to do. Yami's grandpa gives her like a hunting boomerang as a gift and shows her how to throw it. And this one she accepts because she doesn't want to make him sad. So I guess before we get into the big thing, do we have anything else to say about this like family, this whole section? Because I feel like I actually mostly covered it when I was talking about cultures earlier.
Yeah, we did basically cover everything with Yami and his family. I mean, it's you know, it's it's nice. They're pleasant. They're not particularly interesting, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess one thing that does seem very clear here is that Yami likes Cassie back. I think he does.
Yeah, he
Like,
does.
he's like real happy to share stuff with her. He's like kind of embarrassed around her. There's like a bit where he's helping her throw the boomerang and their noses brush. It's like, whoa.
Pretty cool.
And that's that there.
I mean, he lives out in the middle. He's probably like, this is probably the first girl he's seen in 3 years or something. I don't know. What am I even talking about? Okay. I noticed that
Cassie's exotic.
Notice that she doesn't like, she just says, no, I don't want to eat these grubs because they're disgusting. She does not say, no, thanks, I'm a vegetarian.
That's true.
Wouldn't that be like, shouldn't that be the real reason?
Yeah, she could say that.
Whatever.
I don't think bugs count. I don't think bugs should count as a vegetarian, right? Or
They
non.
count.
In this case, as a non-vegan, I think like not wanting to eat honey because it's animal labor because of bees. Bees don't fucking count. It's stupid. I'm judging you.
They weren't meant to live in those hives on a place.
It's a fucking bug.
Look, well, I mean, I agree with you, but I also don't agree with you because don't eat bugs. They're disgusting. I hated this. I looked this up. It's horrible.
You will not eat the bugs. You will not live in the pod.
Correct. Also, is it me, or does Cassie have a misplaced sassiness against Marco in this book?
Does she?
It's just a couple lines I noticed. There's one in this part where she's like, "Oh, Marco would love this." Cassie, the nature lover, getting out into nature, and she just wants technology. But then there was another part where she says, like, "I miss all the Animorphs, even Marco." Oh, that felt like a Rachel line. I was like, why is that? I don't know. It felt like not something Cassie should say, but you know me. I'm just here to stick up for Marco.
I can see her being kind of snarky about Marco's jokes because she is the butt of a lot of them, and she can't really fire back. But yeah, I do think even Marco is a little bit of a stretch. I mean, we know from that fan fiction that Cassie and Marco are kind of a secret couple.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is canon. All of the fanfics are canon.
Every single one. Yeah, that's right.
I still am wondering right now why she could just turn into a bird. She could.
Yeah, they do a whole... They even mention that. You know, Yami's like, I don't know how well a bird would travel, but a kangaroo, that's really the way to travel the desert. I don't know that I buy that a kangaroo is traveling better than a bird.
Yeah, it's for sure not. And they're like, oh, it'll be too hot. Like, I mean, just...
That means thermals. Better thermals.
Yeah, or you can demorph and then, like, won't your sweat dissolve and you can morph again and be fine or something?
Yeah, who knows?
It really seems like this is a problem with a very obvious solution. But
yeah, no, I don't think that this makes sense. It's just like, look, she's got to morph into a kangaroo because I need another weird animal for the cover. What could I do with that? Well, what if she went to Australia? Then she'd have to use it, right? Because that's where they live. Whatever. Yeah. That's not even what she does, so it doesn't matter anyway.
We do get to see, important lessons about the reality of boomerangs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come back to you like in a video game. You do gotta go
unless they're trick boomerangs.
Right.
The hunting ones don't do it.
But even those, I think, are still like very. You have to be like real good with them and stuff, right? I mean,
That's probably right.
Like literally in every video game ever, you pick up a boomerang, it's just like a homing missile just comes right back to your hand. Anyway.
Yeah. No,
it also, I mean, it is pretty funny. Are we like the Australia book so far is literally kangaroos, Aboriginal people boomerang. Like, do they just have a checklist? It feels like was this sponsored by Outback Steakhouse, this book?
They do. I mean, they do even mention Crocodile Dundee. That's one of the references.
Yeah.
You really do kind of hit all of them.
Anyway.
No wombats.
No wombats. No scorpions.
Yeah. I did try to find this place on Google Maps, this PD Spring Community, Northern Territory. It does not appear to be a place that is named on Google Maps, but Alice Springs, or the Alice, which they mention is the closest town, is a real town. But given that they are about 60 miles away from it, in the middle of nowhere, I can't really... It's too big of a radius to pin down where this might be.
Oh, well.
There sure is a whole lot of nothing about 60 miles away from the Alice. So.
A whole lot of nothing from the Alice.
Yeah, so at least there's some research there, I guess. She did a lot of research for this book, John.
Kind of reminds me of Catherine Alice.
How to throw a boomerang.
Mm-hmm.
How kangaroos work.
Well, did she have to learn that?
She had to... there's more to this. Yeah, She got a hold of a boomerang manufacturer to learn how to throw non-returning boomerangs, and a professor in Australia to learn about the Aboriginal life, it says on Anibase.
Oh, crikey. You want to learn about boomerangs, mate? I can tell you all about them.
Oh, shit. Is that frequent friend of the podcast, Steve Irwin?
That's right, mate. Thought I'd hop in like a baby Joey to have a little talk about the outback where I'm from. I'm
Wow,
Steve Irwin.
Are there a lot of boomerangs in the outback, Steve Irwin?
There's boomers and boomerangs, mate.
Ooh, tell me the difference.
You see, if a boomer's coming at you, you better duck. And if a boomerang's coming at you, you better duck again, mate.
Wow, very.
He's got to come back.
Steve.
You got to duck twice.
Thank you, Steve. Very insightful.
I like to check in with all the Australian listeners. You know, this is a real treat for me. This book. I love reading about the dingoes. You know, a boomer. I once saw a boomer take 2 dingoes at the same time.
Oh yeah, what happened? What happened to the dingoes?
I came back later. They was all smoking cigarettes.
We should watch Kangaroo Jack this week for the Patreon.
Oh, that's the national movie of Australia, mate.
National movie.
Well, crikey, I gotta go back to hell now. Bye.
Bye, Steve. We love you, Steve.
Yeah, Steve had to stop by. I mean, come on, this was his episode.
Yeah, he had to.
Yeah.
Glad to see him again. It's getting word we might not see him before the end, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that he's in hell is really a bummer.
Yeah.
But you just don't know what people are up to. Like, you think you know somebody and you like them, a celebrity, but they might have hate in their heart. They might deserve hell.
So you're saying Steve Irwin might have gotten Me Too'd if he were around longer?
Now we have Robert Irwin and Bindi. Those are his kids. They do the.
I did recognize those names. I guess that makes sense. They're his kids.
Yeah, I was a big Crocodile fan, hunter.
Crocodile Head.
There's two hunters that I like: Crocodile and MILF. All right. Let's keep going.
What about well, whatever. Fuck it. All right. It's not worth riffing on this anymore. Fuck this. Okay. So let's do the first big thing that happens in this book, which we're almost done with this book. First big thing that happens. So Yami's grandfather is not feeling good. He has a nasty cut on his leg. It turns out that he grabbed a shard from the exploded bug fighter and he was using it as a knife and he cut himself and the cut is really, really badly infected. I don't know if it's like poisonous alien metal or if it just got infected or what. He needs a doctor very, very badly, but they can't call out because the radio's destroyed. Thank you very much, Cassie. So Cassie spends the day helping the family care for him. She's like, at night I'll head out when it's cooler and it's safe to go. But but by that time, the wound is already like way too fucked up on the leg and there's no time to get help. He's like gonna die unless they do something. So Cassie's like, we gotta amputate his leg right now. It's the only way to save him. So she morphs into a Hork-Bajir, specifically the one who died on the plane that she acquired, not her other Hork-Bajir morph, so that she can use her blades. And using her Hork-Bajir blades, she and Yami successfully amputate the leg. So this is our second Cassie surgery scene in the series.
Notice you didn't say last.
Well, you never know. I don't want any spoilers.
Yeah.
Maybe I think the surgery scene in the Helmicron's book, she does surgery on a Helmicron. It's like on a
right.
on a grape meme.
Yeah, well, isn't that the B plot for the Airballs book? Airball. Sorry. Sorry.
Calm down over there.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Here's what I like. I do like the idea of him, the metal being in his leg. The idea of introducing alien technology to this very natural place that has no technology in it. That's a cool concept that basically begins and ends right there in this book. But that's like, I don't know, that is a fun thing I like to see sometimes where you like mix sci-fi with, like, I mean, the movie sucks, but Cowboys and Aliens or something. It's like that kind of a,
Hmm.
like sci-fi, but in the distant past or whatever. Isn't there what's a movie recently that did that? Isn't that there was like an alien, like a spaceship in the Wild West besides Cowboys and Aliens? Ah, fuck, who cares? I don't know.
I don't know.
So I'd like that idea. We do get to see Cassie being a medic once again.
Hmm. Yes. So
She
they're even
does.
relevant to this book.
Very relevant. Completely coincidental, but it worked out. How stupid would I have felt if I read it last week? You would have been like, ah, fuck. Anyway.
Yeah. Whatever.
Cassie
Fine.
does say brain surgery was the hardest thing she's ever done.
Hmm.
So, you
Yeah.
know, at least look, it's a small consolation, but it's something.
Yeah.
I'm going to really cling to that. I do think so this surgery is not nearly as egregious as the other surgery to me.
Interesting. This one was way more egregious to me, but
Oh my God. All she does is chop off his leg. That's all she does.
yeah, I mean that's kind of the problem, right? Is that in the other surgery we have this like detailed step-by-step procedure of like everything like I can follow every action she's taking. I can see why she's taking it based on like, okay, I read this procedure, I'm hearing from Aftran. And this one literally she's like, "All right, I'll cut off his leg." And there's very little in the way of like how do you do that properly, since if you do that improperly the person will just kind of bleed out and die. Like in the brain thing, I feel like you actually have less of a chance of killing the person. Maybe like a high chance of like fucking with them and screwing them up cognitively. But with the leg, if you're doing that wrong, they're just dead. Like immediate, like I don't know. And it
Maybe
feels
we are going to have
very.
this argument again.
I don't know. I mean, listen. Here's the other thing. Like last time, I feel like you were saying they didn't spend any time exploring other options, and it's not like they had any like they didn't really have much choice or time to do that, but they did introduce it in the beginning of the book, and Cassie has this ongoing tension that is one on the pile of things she's going to have to do. There's like this build up to it. In this book, she's like, "Okay, we're going to have to amputate." The amputation happens in the same chapter. The entire process takes about a page, and I counted it's 33 whole sentences for the entire procedure. Like when you say, yeah, she just cuts off his leg, that is what it is. She just cuts off his leg. That's it. She did it. Done. Easy.
Look, here's the thing. And maybe, I mean, there's many things I could say. But here's one that I'll just throw out first and see how that lands. A big part of this, and you may not like this rationalization, or you just might not agree with it, or you might think it's stupid, but the cut off the leg or cut off the arm to save an infection or to save someone, that is a fairly common trope in media. So whether or not it's realistic, it's like, to me, it's the same thing as hitting someone on the back of the head and they just fall asleep for 2 hours and they're fine. It's just a thing that happens in pop culture that I feel like as a society, we all just accept as a shortcut in fiction because it's just how it is. Whereas brain surgery is the opposite. You rarely see it. So it just on a immediate level as just a non-thinking feeling consumer reading this, I'm just more conditioned to be like, yeah, I've seen that. Something's wrong with their leg. They have to cut it off. It's fucked up, but usually tie it up and the guy's okay because it's a leg, not his brain. So that's part of it, I think, is just that's maybe not for you, but for me, that's more acceptable.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this and saying like much higher chance of death by blood loss, much higher chance of like massive go into shock. You have to have this massive open wound that's a huge infection risk, whereas Cassie's like sewing everything up and disinfecting it properly with the brain surgery.
You know too much. Because again, if someone said to me, what would you rather I do? We'll just see how it goes. How you fare. I'm either going to cut off your leg or I'm going to go into your brain. I'd taken the leg every time personally.
But imagine that they were like, there's also a slug in the brain who will tell you exactly, like, to the centimeter where to cut and exactly what the problem is. Like Aftran's in there, being like, okay, it's right here. You cut right here, nowhere else. And then she puts the little saw in, and then she's like, yep, it's right there. I just need to take out that clearly bulging, like, weird colored polyp, and, like, right on the surface. I just have to not touch the rest of it, get the skull. Like, it's a procedure, it's a whole thing. But I feel like, yeah, that feels way better to me than a fucking leg. I feel like you're way more likely to die in an amputation situation than in a brain surgery situation.
That just feels like you know a lot about amputations, and most people don't.
I'm sure I know more about amputations than brain surgery, to be 100% fair, which is not that much. I'm not actually a medical guy.
Yeah, but I'm like, don't get me wrong. Look, the scene, it's still silly. It's very silly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially when she just immediately goes, I guess I better be a Hork-Bajir. She doesn't even go like, hey, do you guys have, like, I don't know, any kind of a cutting implement? She's just like, it's gotta be a Hork-Bajir's blade that does it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's not like she hasn't seen Hork-Bajir blades perform amputations before during fights.
Guess.
So she clearly is like, I got the perfect fucking morph for this one.
And I feel like a lot of this, if they took Chandler's reading of this to heart, and if early on we had seeded this idea that Cassie has more of an expertise in this area, I think you'd think maybe they did. To me, it wasn't enough. I could buy this better, and I think they should have done that, because now it seems like that maybe was the direction they were heading, kind of, or they just happened to end up that way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that most people would read this section, and other than it being boring or maybe still or too abrupt or not enough time spent on it, I think most people see this kind of thing happen in like TV shows every other week, and they don't bat an eye at it. It's just like, yeah. A zombie bit your leg, chop off the leg. You know, it's just like, it's what you do in a movie. It's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I weren't being asked to sit here and talk about this book for 2 hours straight, and if I hadn't had a huge conversation about argument about a surgery last time it happened, that is exactly, I'd just be like, and then she does surgery, and she's in Australia. All right, book over. Throw that one away. Come on, give me something. Please, Ellen, save me.
Yeah. So, whatever. We prioritize body parts differently. You're more concerned about your legs. I'm more about my brain. It's just, we have different priorities. It's just how it is.
I mean, I guess coming from like a climbing background, I guess amputation was more of like a reality, whereas brain surgery, like you're not going to get an injury out in nature where you have to do brain surgery, but you might 128 days yourself. Right.
Excuse me, it's 127 hours.
127 hours. Oh, yeah. I got 28 days later confused in my head. I said it wrong. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It wouldn't be days.
No. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't have strong feelings about this scene, honestly, one way or the other.
Yeah, I didn't until I was asked to write notes, and then I was like, no, this one kind of is bad. I'm going to count it. I'm going to look at it.
So we have
I like the other one better.
Positions. Now, so this makes me think you're even crazier. But that's...
Well, I didn't think we would have much of an argument. I thought we'd both come in and be like, yeah, this surgery was also stupid, but and under whatever, and then we wouldn't think about it.
Well, I agree with the also stupid. I just think the other one was much, much stupider.
I don't know. I thought the other one was cool and made me think Cassie was awesome and badass. And this one I don't care about.
We know. You're on record as saying it already, okay?
Now...
Yeah.
So...
Oh, I love
okay,
Cassie.
Here's something that's
kind of... fuck Cassie so bad.
Excuse you?
That's
you need to calm down.
That's what you
today.
say.
Coming in here with your books about your little boys and their under... You need to calm down. It's not the kind of podcast I want.
I am not saying
to be running here. You're over here getting us in trouble, getting us on watch lists.
No.
I don't know why you feel the need.
Well, you're bringing up drunk weddings. I mean, this is I just think maybe we both have some things to answer for today.
Now, one thing that I think is kind of thematically cool in this
Yeah.
section,
What's
or
that?
interesting. I mean, maybe it's not actually like when I say thematically cool, I mean like there's anything to think about thematically whatsoever, as opposed to nothing. I do like her use of the Hork-Bajir who died. Right, there's this whole idea where she's morphing into it. I don't remember if it's a boy or a girl, whatever. It's an it now. She's morphing into
The
this
oh, the
Hork-Bajir.
Hork-Bajir, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know if like, or she's like, the Hork-Bajir's dead, right? And now it's
Light.
alive only through me. So in a sense, she's kind of like atoning for its death by like using
Yeah.
its body to give life
That's
in the
what she
surgery.
says.
It's neat, right?
Oh,
I
oh,
like it.
you like that. I wasn't sure where you were going. I thought you were going to say it was stupid.
I don't know. You don't think that that's kind of like a
I
fun thematic redemption of Cassie here? Like it's not very well executed or like fleshed out in any way whatsoever, but like the idea is good, I think.
yeah, I like the idea of it. I think the problem is it's just given very little time.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, how are you going to pay tribute to the Taxon that you murdered or whatever else the fuck you killed? It would be more meaningful if she like used that morph to kill Visser 3 or something. But
Hmm.
it's like this Hork-Bajir didn't have anything to do with surgery of legs. Like there's no thematic reason to
It's
use
about
the Hork-Bajir now.
giving or taking life, right? She's not concerned about Visser 3. She's concerned that this Hork-Bajir died because of her. And now he's hurt.
Yeah.
I get there's like also kind of a whole part here where like I guess we're supposed to maybe like Cassie's like, "Oh, this is all my fault cuz the bug fighter only came here cuz I came here." And then the radio tower's only down cuz it blew up, so it's like my fault, which I don't really
Mm.
buy at all. It doesn't resonate with me at all. Like, it's not your fault that he fucking cut himself, whatever. But like, I guess that's supposed to be a thing. And this, I don't know, like
Yeah.
giving and taking life.
Well,
It's not great. I just like I'm grasping here.
I did actually like the part you're talking about when the grandpa like says to her,
Hmm.
"It's not your fault.
Yeah,
You're."
now that's a later section, but we could talk about it now if you
I
wanted.
mean, it feels like that's what you're leading into. But yes, I think we should
Sure,
honestly.
yeah.
Can you just get through the rest of it? Like, do we need to separate
Yeah,
this
sure.
out?
I mean, the rest of it, other than like the literal end where she gets back, let's just finish this out then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So just as Cassie finishes the surgery, there's like this shadow looming overhead. The blade ship is here. An army of Taxons and Hork-Bajir come out. Visser 3's here too. Like, get me that Andalite. This is where the conversation we're going to talk about happens. Cassie morphs into a kangaroo and goes out to like draw them away. They were shooting after her. She ends up in like the sacred spring area where all the other kangaroos are, and and just like before, the kangaroos like retreat into the water, and they start, and the kangaroos all start fighting the Hork-Bajir and drowning Taxons like they did those dingoes, and Yami's family shows up with boomerangs, and T'Jala the dog beats up a Hork-Bajir too. And so they're beating up all the Yeerks, yay! And then some like tourist planes start flying by, and Visser 3 is like, "Oh no, we gotta leave before we get caught," and they leave. Um, and then Chi Lords shows up. I don't know if you remember her, but she's like, "Hi, I stowed away on the blade ship, so I'll carry you home and get the doctor." And so that's how Cassie gets saved.
The note I wrote down was, "Am I supposed to remember who the fuck Lords the Chi is?" Because I don't.
She's the homeless Chi from book 27 that they had to save from the Flophouse.
Okay. I remember the word Flophouse. I don't remember what the plot of that book was.
All the Chi got shut down because the Pemelite ship was that was the Drode messed with it or something, and they had to rescue her. And the police were coming. There was a big fight. Whatever,
I do
doesn't
remember
matter.
the Flophouse. Um,
I guess let's talk about the speech you're talking about, where he says that it's not Cassie's fault.
right. Like I said, I do like the idea of this, and here's the problem with it. It
Hmm.
feels like this is a very important thing for Cassie to hear. And it
Hmm.
feels like this is something that, in many ways, her character arc has maybe been building towards this, someone saying this to her for many books now.
Hmm.
So why did we decide that it should be delivered to her by a random new character we just met, will never meet again, and have no attachment to?
Yeah, I love this. I love this speech. I fully agree that this feels like some kind of culmination of a character arc. The problem is that it works better with a character arc that spans like all of the series, and the arc that it like in this book we're setting up Cassie being like, "Oh, it's all my fault." And it's just like obviously not. It like this works better, to like capstone Cassie killing a bunch of people throughout all the books or doing all of these horrible things throughout all the books. And then in this one it's like, "Oh, it's not your fault that they chased you here or
It's not
that
your
I
fault.
cut myself with a knife." It's like you could even try to tie it back to the fact that she killed a bunch of them earlier in the book, but it feels almost like we've forgotten that. We barely remember it. Yeah, so it doesn't
Yeah.
work like in its own story.
Doesn't this, I keep going back to, what if this were a 90-minute action movie,
Mhm.
and this wasn't about, this was just a standalone, this isn't an anamorph, it's just a person. And
Mhm.
then you'd be like, oh, I'm attached to this new character because that's like the arc of this film. This character meets this character, has to survive, does this. They're very important because there's only like 4 characters in the whole movie. But because we have this larger tapestry that we're working within, it feels out of place. But this
Mhm.
book just feels like like they had another book written and stuck Cassie in it. I don't know.
I mean, this is why the Animorphs fatigue set in for me, right? Like, it's just like please give me a book that matters. Give me a book with characters that I know will come back or like have been here before. You know what I mean? Like at least last book, it's like, "Oh, I know Taylor. I know that character. I've seen her before, right? We're gonna learn more about her. We're gonna go farther with that." And in this book, it's just like, yeah, Cassie's in Australia. The other Animorphs aren't here. It's just Cassie, and she's just in Australia, and none of these people will matter, and she'll just go home. She doesn't even like Chi Lords will just carry her home. It's all cool. It's all good. Lords showed up. We're
This,
good. Don't didn't
honestly,
write how to get her back.
it would go so far if they just let her have Jake or Rachel with her.
Hmm.
Just give me someone for Cassie to bounce off of. Jake, even better, or Rachel. Either of them would be great because then, if she's like into what's his face, Rachel could
Hmm.
be like, you're forgetting about Jake? Like, what's going on? Or it could be like a love triangle thing with him. But just her by herself, because even in The Departure, which we love, that's Cassie alone, it's not Cassie alone. She's talking to
Hmm.
Aftran the whole time.
Yeah.
But when it's literally just Cassie, I do not care about this other boy or his grandpa. There's just nothing there for her to talk about or think about
Yeah.
besides, I'm guilty, or
The
whatever.
opening half of the book should have been like 2 chapters, and then she should have spent the whole book flirting with Yami the way she spent the whole book talking with Aftran. And
Yeah.
now we've got like some serious tension where she's like, "I guess I
Yeah.
gotta go back to Jake." It would be even better if the Animorphs showed up to save her, and then you get a
Mm.
scene where Jake meets Yami,
Oh
and
my
like
God.
Jake doesn't really know that Cassie's got a thing with him.
Oh
And so
man.
like now Cassie's feeling all awkward, like, "Oh, uh-oh, oh no."
Yeah, we're rewriting this. This has
Yeah.
potential. It's truly insane how long that opening scene takes. Like,
Hmm.
what the fuck were they thinking? Get to the fireworks factory already. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Um she now,
Okay, here's something. Speaking of that fireworks fact, speaking of, okay, we've got this big action sequence here, right? Where the kangaroos beat up all the Hork-Bajir. And I guess I'm supposed to imagine this scene where a whole like army of armed Hork-Bajir roll up and a bunch of kangaroos and guys with boomerangs beat them up. And these are the scary guys who definitely would not fold the instant they come into contact with any real military. Like, what if,
Yeah.
oh no, what if they open, like, I don't know. I feel like there is supposed to be some sense that, you know, okay, they're doing this in this spiritual area, in this spring. And so maybe there's something like, it's one of
Mm-hmm.
these like, oh, the spirit of the world of the
AWA.
ancestors have come. Awa has heard you, and that's why they're losing. And if you were doing this as a movie, you could do something similar here, but you could have a lot more abstract scenes. You could like intersperse these like whoa kind of psychedelic scenes with like scenes of Hork-Bajir getting beaten, and you would kind of visually understand that oh, there's something spiritual happening here. Like obviously it doesn't make sense, but that's because there's something metaphysical. Um and maybe you could do that in a book too. Maybe you could write it in such a way. Like what we need is like a like Ellen Giroux's like flashbacks. Remember how she would have the flashbacks in the when Tobias was getting tortured?
Yeah.
Like imagine you had something like that going in and out of like we're talking about like ancestral spirits and that sort of thing, and then coming back to the action and then going there. Like you would buy it, right? You'd be like, oh, cool. They're like somehow they're getting beaten by these kangaroos because of the power of, you know what I mean? But here it's literally just like, and then the tiny puppy ran up and grabbed the Hork-Bajir by the neck, and the Hork-Bajir grabbed him and threw him to the ground. But then the dog barked, and the Hork-Bajir was like, "Oh, that dog's sure scary. He bit my neck," and he turned around and ran, even though he has a fucking laser beam. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. I don't buy it.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you're right. I was just kind of like, I don't know. It's just boring. I just
Yeah.
didn't care. It was unrealistic because it was boring.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it is kind of like a Furiosa action scene, just boring.
Is that that's how you would describe that, huh?
Yeah, like they're chasing all the kangaroos. It's kind of like a car chase, but it's kangaroos instead of cars. And they're like they're shooting at them, and they're on poles and shit.
I mean, now I'm imagining. See, when you describe it like that, it sounds cool.
Yeah, well, you just got to fill in some of the blanks.
Maybe I just need to see it in IMAX.
I do think it's worth noting that even in Animorphs, you're not allowed to kill a dog. The dog is safe. The dog survives.
Right, of course.
T'Challa. I was kind of looking forward to her trekking across the desert at night, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been fun.
Yeah, I thought that could be like a cool, like she's alone in nature with her thoughts and surviving. And
Like
then
the
they
Skunk
don't do it.
Book.
And they, not like that. And they set it up like for long enough that then they just don't do it. It's like, well, what was even the point of talking about that?
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing, you'll have to go out there if you want to contact anyone. Oh, you'll have to go out there for the medical stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it turns out you didn't have to do any of that. Chi Lords is here, and she's going to fix it all.
Like, it would have been a whole thing. Oh, I only have this much time. I have to get back or Grandpa's going to die. No, nothing. Nothing. It doesn't do anything. Nothing. Just nothing.
Yeah.
Just done. We got no time. The book's over. Leave. Fucking leave.
Yeah. They wasted half of it. That's the problem.
I also don't like this. They referred to Taxons again. I'm thinking about Taxons as having centipede legs.
Yeah,
but then they also talk about them having like lobster-like pinchers.
Have they ever done that before, or is that something they had to do now because they showed that on the cover of last book?
I don't know if I'm being gaslit or what, because I feel like they never did, and I'm like centipede legs, see, and then they were immediately like a lobster, and I was like, what the fuck you? It's not like a lobster at all. This is bullshit. Anyway.
Reasonable. What about the one Texan who slurps up his own guts before he dies?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't need to say it. There's plenty of good anti-Taxon shit in this book.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. Okay, It's over.
I guess it's over. I wish I could have talked more about that speech. It's so good, but because like I have a whole thing where it's like, oh yeah, the reason Cassie's a pacifist is because she lives in the imperial core. You know, she needs an indigenous person to tell her about like, you
Like
know,
Star
what
Wars,
colonizers do. Yeah, she needs a fucking because the Aboriginals know what the British people were fucking like. So Cassie,
like the
I
Empire.
don't fuck it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I
Yeah,
wish it was good.
I liked when they're talking about the boomers, and I was thinking about like, ooh, he's using a big boomer.
Yeah, bomb bad. A
Woo,
bomb bad boomer.
Jaja, get the bombad boomer. I think that was in Australia.
That's probably right. I think you're right.
Did we finish? And
Okay.
then she goes home. It's over.
Yeah, she goes home.
You're done.
Yeah, there's like a scene where they're at the gardens in the cafeteria. Cassie gets a postcard to send back to Yami. Um yeah, I guess we find out the Marines are. Yeah, there's like a couple details like Jake was a zombie the whole time. Cassie's kind of guilty and she doesn't tell him about the postcard or mention Yami. There's a part where like we find out the Marines are okay, but they like it's weird because they took the bug fighter wreckage to like an undisclosed location and no one's heard of them. And the Animorphs are like, oh, I guess it's like a no win because the Yerks didn't get it back, but they didn't get it off to NASA either. And it's like, I feel like it went to Zone 91. Isn't that a win? And they saw like a shootout over this clearly weird tech with that they couldn't explain. Like it feels like this is a win, and like Homeland Security knows there's aliens that are on Earth,
Who the
but
fuck knows?
they treat it as though that's not a thing.
I also was confused again in the last fight that afterwards Visser 3 is like, we got to destroy all the evidence so no one knows we were here. Like, what has he ever been really concerned about that before? That doesn't come up usually.
Yeah, like I wonder if they were like, well, it actually would be too unrealistic for the kangaroos to just beat them all. So we better have him run away for some other reason.
I guess. All that shit is just confusing. It doesn't. There's no logic to it from book to book. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's this book. The Australia book.
Ultimately, it's what you said before a while back is exactly how I feel, which is if I was not reading this for a podcast, I would read this book and just go, I would knock it out in an hour and a half and just be like, okay. And the 10 minutes later, it would leave my head forever.
Yeah. You'd be like, remember the one where Cassie went to Australia? And you'd be like, oh yeah, that did happen. That was the one with the kangaroo. It must have been, right? Because it's a kangaroo.
We have read worse books. In fact, I don't even think it's not even in the bottom 5. Like, I don't even think this book is bad. It's just, but it's not good. And it's extremely bland is what it is. There's just nothing to it. She goes there, she fights some stuff. Okay, and we're done and move on with your life. It's just the most nothing book that maybe we've ever read. Although we did kind of it did spark some good conversations, if nothing else, about how it could have been better.
That's true. That's true.
Which is more than I can say for the fucking Fantastic Voyage. But yes, go ahead.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that is the other thing, though, is that like in terms of the podcast, right? You know, as a kid, I'm kind of blowing through book 41 because I don't care because doesn't matter. But like on the podcast, you really liked that book. So we got to have like a good conversation about it. You know, the Buffa Human book, which I didn't like and was like, it's nothing. You really liked that. So like on the podcast, there's still like, I feel like a lot of the episodes or a lot of the books that you're like, I don't know about this one, I'm kind of higher on. And some of the ones that I'm lower on, you're higher on. So like there's been a decent energy. Like I feel like the drought that I felt reading these alone hasn't really been reflected in our podcast. And even like the bad ones like 37, not 42 less so, but even the bad ones like 37 honestly was a blast to talk about because of the fucking 9/11 and Rachel just being completely out of control all book. So like I feel like reading this in this place where I get to read it just this one book this week, and it's not coming off the back of me being like I'm dreary and tired and done. Yeah, I can give it a lot more of a fair shake than I otherwise would have. And that being said, I think it is one of the worst books just because it is so nothing, but it is certainly far from the worst.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of it also has to do with its placement.
Hmm.
Again, that it's like, what are we doing here so late in the game that we're doing this?
Hmm.
But like on, it just feels like it's a missed opportunity. Like there's no reason. I mean, going to Australia it feels very gimmicky,
Hmm.
but it feels honestly like a jump the shark moment. But you know, they have one of those every other chapter in Animorphs. But it's it just could have been better. It just you could have made this more fun. You could have had more characters involved. You could have not had half of it be an action scene. It didn't have to be this forest with the kangaroo. There just were so many wrong choices made at almost every turn. And it's not offensive. It's just whatever.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I agree wholly with that assessment.
So there
Do
you
you want to
go.
do references?
Yeah, here's a few pop cultures we got from this book. These guys definitely weren't unloading souvenirs from Disneyland. Of course, they make numerous references to the Marines as well as NASA and the Pentagon and the Air Force and all that shit. They mention Men in Black gunning down my Animal Planet buddies. Now, Men in Black not capitalized, not a reference, but Animal Planet, of course, is.
Hmm.
Um, they say to Axe, "We don't need your blue-furred, four-eyed self on the cover of the National Enquirer." Sure. I don't remember the context of this, but they say the Blair Muppet Project. Why the fuck do they
I
say
think
that?
I think Cassie says she looks like the Blair Muppet Project because she's like half morphed into a bird, so she looks like Big Bird or something when she's running around. I don't
All
know.
I know is I need the Muppet remake of Blair Witch Project.
That would be really good.
They do say, yeah, she says scaly Big Bird legs. He was Jeff Gordon compared to me, Marco driving the car, I guess.
Cassie's a pretty bad driver.
That's funny. We got Marco driving again. That's fun.
Yeah, we love that.
Of course, the Taxon's eyes jiggled like red jello. She could be killed by a can of Raid. The Hork-Bajir blades of a room-sized Veg-O-Matic. This is a fun callback because we used to always call them salad shooters.
Salad shooter. Yeah, I don't
And
know a
this was
jingle for Veg-O-Matic.
yeah, and this well that's too bad, but this, going back to the roots here. A hiking pack, the kind Boy Scouts use. Put on my Mr. Rogers cardigan. She finds an entire unopened box of Slim Fast bars. The gym teacher has something that looks like a Game Boy. Is that the device that's freezing them? I don't know if they say what that is.
I don't know that they do either.
Okay, that's weird.
Maybe.
I know I sound like ET, but I have to phone home. Okay. Um, she's doing better than Crocodile Dundee with a big knife. They reference the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is an actual medical service in Australia. Uh, she talks about being a Xerox copy of a Hork-Bajir. Hop along, Cassie D, we've already covered. And Jake has one hand wrapped around his Coke, consistent with the book from last time or a couple weeks ago, and we determined Jake drinks Coke.
Wow, he's a Coke boy.
Rachel, 7 Up.
Good to know.
If
There
this
is
isn't on
one.
Jake's Zeropedia page, then they fucked up. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you're right about that. There is one reference you missed, and I understand why you didn't want to say it, given the current climate.
Oh boy.
But they do reference Boeing.
Oh, okay.
Now, don't
Right.
come for me.
You know,
I'm not Boeing.
I
If you're listening to this, Boeing, I'm not trying to say anything about anything.
that's just I feel like that word has become like Kleenexed in my head, that
Mm.
I just think of it as a plane and not but
I
yeah.
do believe the 747 is like a model as well for
Right.
Boeing specifically, but
Oh,
they
really?
also mention the company name. But I'm not trying to say that their planes get zapped by Yerks or anything untoward like that. So don't. It's all good. We want to have more podcasts going forward.
We'll see next week. I don't know who's going to show up. Well, Next week, we'll be talking about something else that you'll get to. That's not how this goes.
Yeah, that's not what you. Yeah, I was curious. I was like, oh,
listen.
See if John can do it.
My brain
Just
saw
make it
a
up.
segue and it just had to take it.
What do you think Marco turns into?
Well, I'll find out shortly.
Okay.
If you'd like to email us and let us know, did you like this book more than we did? Did we maybe not give it a fair shake? Are you a big kangaroo head? Email us, theerkyboys@gmail.com. And Patreon. We're talking about something.
Body Snatchers, 1978.
No, come on. You did it the other way this time. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, fuck off.
The
How
book
about that?
is no invasion.
How about that?
The movies are invasion.
How about you go fuck yourself?
Well, I'm going to go fuck myself with the proper titling, at least. You can listen to our patreon.com/theerkyboys. Follow me on Blue Sky at Jonathan Estes, which is my name, and find all my other projects at jonathanestes.com. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not plugging myself, even though people found me.
Yeah, come on.
Go
Well,
listen
you're
to
not
our old
even-
episodes if you
well,
want to do that.
It's your Blue Sky is still in the show notes, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
It's in there.
I log into it occasionally.
Great.
Listen, thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking
crikey. Can't wait to see you again next week, mates. Just wanted to get in here one last quick time. Now I gotta run flat out like a lizard drinking.
Oh boy. Well, we'll be happy to see you next time with us, Steve Irwin, when we'll be talking
crikey.
about Book 45, The Revelation, in which Marco turns into an ant on the
Oh,
Yerky
no.
Boys.